My 23 female, partner 26 male, stormed out of our apartment after I told him that I couldn't give him the support he wanted right now because my friend just died. Help? Trigger warnings for self-harm and attempts on one's own life, so skip if you don't like that. Well, mentions of wanting to attempt on one's own life. Okay, so it's actually totally okay if you go to your partner to talk about things that are upsetting you. Same for them coming to you. I get it. It's normal to do that. What my boyfriend of 2 years does is a bit much. Literally, we were having a completely normal conversation. We were talking about a TV show that we really enjoy after I had just gotten off of a 12-hour shift. I just wanted an easy evening, and I told him that. I told him that right now I don't have the mental space to deal with anything else on top of what I am already dealing with. A friend of mine just killed herself not even 2 days ago, and I'm a nurse, so I'm exhausted on top of everything else. It was cool and chill until I stopped talking to turn on said show for us to watch. Then, out of nowhere, he started talking about how much he hated his dad. This would be fine if it didn't happen every time we spoke. Like, even on the day I found out my best friend in the entire world killed herself, he started talking about his dad and how much he doesn't like him and how he doesn't feel respected by him and about how much it sucks that his dad won't change. I get it. Not having a good relationship with a parent is hard, and I give him the space to talk about it usually. But I just can't handle it right now. Literally, I got off the phone with my friend's sobbing mum, and I was in a weird, foggy headspace where nothing felt real. I told him what was up. He said sorry and hugged me, and then not even 15 minutes later, the same conversation that we've had a million times came up again. I ended up just sitting there barely paying attention while he talked at me for over an hour before I excused myself and took a bath. I told him very bluntly tonight that I really just need a few days to mentally recover, and I don't believe that I'm in the space to comfort him the way that he needs, and he totally flipped out on me. He called me a bitch, told me I was completely selfish, and that he needs to talk about his dad so he doesn't obsess over it. He told me I don't understand what he's going through because I never had a dad in my life to begin with. I'd break up with him for that. That's so disrespectful. That's insane to say that. Who does he think he is? I got defensive because that comment hurt my feelings, which made everything worse. I told him that yeah, I didn't have a relationship with my dad, but I don't spend every hour of every day talking about it. He ended up screaming at me that I need to shut my effing mouth, and he hit the wall beside my head. Then he got his car keys and drove off, leaving me there. He still isn't back, and it's 1 a.m. His location is off, and he hasn't returned my phone calls. All I got from him was a concerning text message at around 11:30 saying, "You're completely unempathetic to what I'm going through. I hope you think about your actions." I don't know what to do going forward from here. I want to have a conversation with him about all of this when he gets home, but I don't even know where to start. This is the first time in our entire relationship where I've told him that I don't have the mental space. This is also the first time in our relationship where he's stormed off like this. I feel guilty because I know the relationship with his dad upsets him, and I absolutely shouldn't have gotten defensive, but I just don't have it in me to offer comfort. Is there any other way that I can say to him that I don't have the space? In the comments, Avalon Kate says, "Not the asshole. Leave. He's abusive. Next time it could be your face, not the wall 2 inches from it. That is abuse. Leave for your safety." Him hitting the wall next to OP's head is very concerning, also disregarding her boundaries and going away, refusing to answer, and his comments are manipulative. This is an aggressive, controlling, dangerous man. OP should read, "Why does he do that?" Inside the minds of angry and controlling men. Among other things, it explains that some men want women in their lives to stay in what they think is their place, controlled by men. Often these men become more and more abusive. There were just so many red flags even before he punched the wall next to her. But truly, he did not sound like an empathetic person at all, and he did not care for a second that her best friend had chosen to take her own life like that. It is so sad that people operate like that and are happy to act like that and see no problem with it, and then turn on OP and be like, how dare you not listen to my problems when you're having one of the worst days in your life. What a sad excuse for a man, honestly. I really just hope OP gets out of there and keeps herself safe. Oh my god. And now, onto the update, about 12 hours later. I'm not gonna lie, the moment comments started coming in about abuse, I felt sick. Luckily, the panic I felt lit a fire under my ass. I freaked out, spam called my brother at like 2 in the morning to wake him up, grabbed my basic essentials and a few bits of clothing, and left. I'm staying at my brother and his husband's house right now because that's what they told me to do. I turned off my location, I haven't returned his calls or texts. He got home an hour ago and started spam calling me when he realized I wasn't there. He's throwing out a lot of apologies and begging right now, and I feel completely overwhelmed with guilt and this need to be there for him. But I don't want to be the thing that he hits next. I just want to say that I'm eternally grateful for everyone here. And I'm grateful for my brother, who was absolutely horrified when I told him what happened and opened his home to me. I'm going to talk to my mum, and we're going to figure out a way to get me out of there and away from him permanently. Thank you all so much again. I'm going to get some more rest. I just wanted to let everyone know that I was safe. In the comments, just read this after the edit, and I want to tell you, as someone old enough to be your mom, how incredibly proud of and impressed by you I am that you immediately took people's words seriously, took to heart what you were being told about your safety, and called a family member so you could get out quickly and safely. You are amazing. I know that the next little while will be tough and hard on your resolve, but you have already proven yourself to be smart and resourceful. You deserve so much better than someone who will call you hateful names and put you in physical danger. You deserve someone who is kind and thoughtful and emotionally mature enough to recognize when you are struggling with something and not just dismiss it and start whinging about themselves. You're right that partners need to be there for each other, but your boyfriend clearly had no interest in anything that wasn't about himself. So proud of you. Seriously. Be proud of yourself too. And OP replies, I saw your comment earlier today, and I meant to respond right after you posted it, but it made me start crying. I just came back here because I need you to know how much your words meant to me. Thank you for being proud of me, and thank you for your words of support. Thank you. And now, onto the latest update. Hi, I just wanted to come on here to say one thing. Everyone who said he's abusive was completely correct. These past 48 hours have been nothing short of a nightmare. My now ex-boyfriend started with extremely apologetic texts, telling me how he never meant to react like that he'll get therapy, that he'll do anything if I just come back home. Once those didn't get a response, he started getting desperate. There were a lot of threats of suicide. He told me that he needed me to drive him to the mental hospital because he didn't trust himself. At that point, I called him and I told him that I'd call a welfare check for him, but I won't be driving him anywhere. Then he got mean, telling me that I should consider myself lucky that he loves me because no one else ever will. He accused me of sleeping around. He told me that my friend killed herself because I neglected her just like I'm neglecting him. That shit broke me. I told him that we're done and that I need to come get my stuff, so he needs to be out of the apartment. I also told him that I wasn't coming alone and that my brother and brother-in-law were coming to help me. I went to go get my things earlier today while he was at work. He trashed my apartment. There were holes in the walls. He destroyed all of my clothing, he tore up my photos, my makeup is ruined, anything that he thought might have sentimental value to me is destroyed. Fuck, man. I took photos of everything. I don't know what to do about the damage to the actual walls of my apartment or what to do about the lease. I'm thinking of filing a protective order against him in case he starts showing up to my job. I'm just done. I'm checking out for a while, and I'm going to focus on restarting and getting myself back together. In the comments, Situation Sad says, I've called the police to make a person manipulating people by threatening suicide go to the hospital. 10 out of 10 recommend. They either mean it and therefore need it, or they get to spend 72 hours explaining to strangers they didn't mean it for like $30,000. I did the same with my abusive boyfriend when he drove off, drunk and threatening to drive into a tree. Zero regrets for calling the cops. I would have called them even without the threat. He was over the drinking and driving limit in our country. I also gasped when I read, "Then he got mean, telling me that I should consider myself lucky that he loves me because no one else ever will, because that same asshole said those exact words to me. Same ex punched holes in the wall of every house we lived in too. It's like there's an abuser playbook or something." The way guys like this stay hovering at about 20 in terms of anger and violence, and then immediately ramp up to 110 when their chosen target/victim/plaything decides not to put up with it anymore, is truly terrifying. Yeah, no kidding, the deadliest time in an abusive relationship is when you try to leave. 100% truth. My non-specific female relative for anonymity was married to a controlling man for 20 plus years. He hid it well, and when she finally left him, he murdered her. And it's cases like these, and comments like these, that I find it important to share stories like these, and repeat the lessons that we need to learn from them. If people are not aware of the signs, and they're not aware of the language, the behaviors, the subtle manipulations of these people, and how to spot it within their own relationships and within, other relationships around them, we risk falling victim or not being able to help others when we should otherwise have the ability to spot these things. I am so genuinely happy that OP got out of this situation. It's not a situation that anyone should ever have to be in. I have a friend of mine that I'm very close to that had a very similar situation happen to her. But in her situation, he had recorded a lot of things with her and with him without her consent. He had done this to many other people, and the full force of the law came down on this guy. But none of the other stuff was important. It was only that in which the police cared about it and did something about it. And even then, in Australia, you're still a free man after all of this. It's not like he's in jail right now. I do hope that he leaves OP alone, but I know we don't have a great track record of that happening once people have escaped abusive relationships. So all I can hope from this is that people are educated about what signs to look out for and can use the advice of these comments and these other situations and their outcomes in the updates to guide them in what to do and what not to do. Thank you for the story, OP. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. I hope things are better now. Our next post is by user CheekSuper7240, and it's titled, "I installed a lockbox for my cheese, and now my roommate says I'm creating division in this house. Am I overreacting?" Okay, so this might sound insane, but hear me out. I, 24 male, live with 2 roommates. One of them, 29 male, is fine. The other one, 28 female, is a fridge pirate with sticky fingers and zero shame. I don't even think she likes half the stuff she steals, she just eats it because it's there. The final straw was my cheese. My mother brings me cheese from my home country every time she visits. No, I cannot buy it here. I had it hidden behind the milk for safekeeping, but I opened the fridge yesterday and it was gone. She said, "Oh, I didn't think it was a big deal. It's just cheese." Huh? No, it is not just cheese. That cheese was the only joy that I had left this week. So I snapped. I went full chaos. I bought a small fridge lockbox. Yup, a plastic safe that goes inside the fridge. Combo lock and everything. Put my cheese, my fancy yogurt, my cold brew, and my chocolate in there, labeled it, "Unauthorized entry will be considered an act of war." She saw it and now says that I'm creating division in a house and being hostile and passive-aggressive. Am I? Or is this what happens when you push a peaceful person to the brink over dairy? Because honestly, I'm about 3 bites away from putting AirTags in my hummus. In the comments, Terrier Derriere says, "Not overreacting. A roommate of mine had a best friend over most weekends who was pretty much always drunk. She did the same thing with my food. I was a bartender living off tips, and the friend was a spoiled little rich girl whose excuse was, "I was drunk. Why should I apologize if I don't even remember doing it?" What? She also always got ready in our half bath and would leave broken makeup and mats of hair in our sink. The topper was having sex on our couch with a random while on her period. Before I bought a fridge locker, I would tie the fridge doors up with a complicated knot that I knew that her drunk ass could not figure out. I still get angry 15 years later when I see her name pop up on socials. I never understood why my very lovely roommate put up with her entitlement. Not overreacting. When I lived in a dorm, I had 2 roommates. One always had her friends over. My mum used to send me these boxes, care packages, every month, loaded with goodies. I don't know how many times I came back to my room with my roommate and her friends just helping themselves to my goodies. After telling her a couple of times that it just wasn't cool, I bought a lock for my closet and kept the box in there. People think they're just so entitled these days. Juicy says, turn every accusation back on them. They are creating division by stealing your belongings and not being trustworthy. You're safeguarding your belongings because they are an immature thief. If it's such a problem to lock up your food, there's a good chance they're taking other stuff of yours as well. Don't leave anything in the common areas and get a key lock for your personal space. You might also need to get a motion detection camera for when they break in so that you have proof. People like this have zero respect. Normal people would apologize and attempt to replace it. It's a special type of audacity that blames you for their bad behavior. It's just projection every time. It is always projection. Oh yeah, OP, setting and maintaining their personal boundaries when OP continues to have their food stolen is the one creating division and starting war? What do you mean? Holy projection Batman. This person is just telling on themselves non-stop. Every accusation is a confession. Absolutely stand your ground, OP. Don't give in to the bullshit because you are not overreacting. I truly do believe in my heart of hearts that they're stealing more things that you are not aware of right now. And now, on to the updates. Okay, I did not expect this to blow up like this. I'm laughing so hard. I haven't even got time to read all the comments. There's too many. However, my 2 big takes are, what is the cheese, and the note is aggressive. The cheese is Asadero cheese. It's Mexican cheese, and yes, if you look it up, you can probably buy it online. It is not the same though. The one that I like and get is from this small town with 10,000 inhabitants 2 hours away from my hometown. It just has this unique taste and it makes sense to me. The note is not aggressive, it's a joke. Like, hey, I'm locking my food away from you, but we're still cool. However, please stop stealing. I'm not actually gonna go to war, although it would be fun. Anyway, I'm pretty sure we've moved on. She's buying me lunch tomorrow, and I'm not getting rid of my lockbox, nor am I getting a mini fridge for my room. I like the idea of her seeing tasty stuff in my lockbox and not being able to eat it. I've been married for a month, and my husband is having an affair with my sister. I've been in shock since I found out. We've been married for a month. He's been having the affair with my sister since before we got engaged back in November. My sister is 8 months pregnant. Her husband was the one who discovered the affair, and he is divorcing her. She doesn't know if her husband or my husband is the father of her baby. I'll be seeking a divorce even though my husband wants us to go to counseling to stay married. I'm an advocate, a barrister, so I won't have any trouble finding a solicitor at least. The law only takes adultery into consideration as to why the marriage broke down, and not for how the assets are divided or settled. However, at least I'll not have to pay him child support since we were only married for a month before I moved out of our flat. I will never speak to my sister again no matter how much she begs me to forgive her, and I'm not staying married to my husband no matter how much he begs me to stay. I don't believe either of them when they say they are sorry, not one bit. In the comments, Here for Mysteries says, I'm so sorry for their betrayal. I would never speak to her ever again either. The amount of posts about siblings cheating with their siblings' partners is truly baffling. Where I'm from, these cases are extremely rare. Maybe they're well hidden, but I don't know. We look at our sibling's partner as our own sibling and family. The thought of looking at my sister's partner as an affair partner is puke-inducing, and I would kill for my sister. To even think to put her through something so traumatic is beyond comprehension to me. I don't understand. Do people not love their siblings? My sister is like my child. I know I shouldn't judge, but like what? What is this upbringing? Why is this so common? Since you've only been married for a month, is an annulment an option? So sorry for what you're going through. Sis and hubby are both trash. Yeah, I would think on these grounds she could get an annulment. Here, you can only seek annulment if there is a legal reason the marriage is invalid. A short time married means nothing if you present it as married and then consummated. OP would likely have to lie depending on the laws there, because marrying a cheater doesn't make it invalid, just sad. My sister was married a week, but still had to get a full divorce. When she found out that she couldn't annul, she just stayed married but separated like an idiot. That sucks. I didn't know that you couldn't get an annulment after a month, but I guess that makes sense. It's a crazy world where your partner will cheat on you with your sibling. It disgusts me to even think that that's a possibility, but hey, some people are just nasty, huh? I pray that energy never finds me in my life. I pray that stays away. I'll go on a gaycation before I allow any of that to happen, that's for sure. And now, on to the update. Last June, I, female 37, found out my husband, male 39, was having an affair with my sister, female 27. I had been married for a month. Their affair began before I was engaged. My sister's husband, male 27, was the one who first found out. When it was discovered, my sister was about 8 months pregnant with a baby girl, and it turned out my ex-husband is the father. Apparently, he was furious when he found out because he didn't want children. My ex-husband and I met in an online dating group for people who don't want children or to date people who have children from former relationships. My ex-husband and my sister both begged me to forgive them. My sister said that she can't help it that she fell in love with him, and my ex-husband said he couldn't be blamed for what happened. I couldn't believe that they thought what they did could be forgiven or forgotten. My ex-husband didn't want a divorce, and neither did my sister from my former brother-in-law. I'm divorced now. I'm an advocate, known as a barrister in the rest of the UK, so I was fortunate to already know the best solicitors who could represent me in my divorce. Since I was only married for a month before I sought a divorce and moved out of our flat, I did not have to pay my ex-husband maintenance, and the divorce did not take long. It's a different story for my sister and my former brother-in-law. They were married for longer, they own property, and they have a son together. He was 17 months old when the affair was discovered. My sister may end up having to pay spousal and child maintenance since she earns more. Their divorce is ongoing. I haven't spoken with my former brother-in-law since I first left my ex-husband, but I feel badly for him. He was devastated when he found out about the affair and the baby not being his child. He didn't deserve any of that. People who say you should just get over it when someone cheats on you have no idea. I have never felt pain like this before. It wasn't even just emotional, it was physical as well. I'm still heartbroken over this. I have no idea anything could hurt so much. I'm going to start seeing a counselor, but it doesn't feel like enough. I haven't seen or spoken to my ex-husband since I moved out of our flat. The only contact during the divorce was through our solicitors. He is dead to me, and so is my sister. I haven't seen or spoken to my sister since shortly after I left my ex-husband, and I never want to see her again. She is dead to me. I don't think I'll ever heal from this. I'm fortunate my parents, my other sister, and most of my family support me and have disowned my traitor sister and no longer have contact with her. Anyone who tells me I should forgive her or chooses her over me gets removed from my life with no second chance. I don't ever want to hear anything about either one of them again. From what my ex-husband's solicitor said during my divorce, they, sister and ex-husband, plan to marry after she is granted a divorce. I haven't heard anything about either one of them since then. I try not to even think about either of them. They were two of the people that I loved most in the world, and they did something that I will never heal from. They are selfish, and they destroyed me. Anyone who says that I should get over this or forgive and forget has no idea what it's like. In the comments, Coco Almonds Rock says, "Thank you for the update. You and your brother-in-law are both making the best possible decision. You're right. Your ex and your ex-sister are horrible, selfish people. They hurt so many people. Do whatever you can to protect your peace and mental health. I'm so sorry they did this to you. Honestly, I'd recommend blocking anyone who says you need to forgive them and move on. No, you don't. You may at some point in the future need to explore forgiveness from the point of view of easing the weight on your heart, but don't feel pressured to offer forgiveness to either of them. I wish you the best of luck in the future." Me too, OP. It sounds like you knew all too well what you needed to do, and you executed that perfectly. I'm sorry this happened to you. Obviously, you don't deserve it, and you know that you didn't deserve it. But these things happen, and that's just life sometimes. We take it on the chin, we do what's best for ourselves, and we move on, and we remove those things that are not healthy for us from our life. So once again, thank you for showing us the proper way to deal with situations like these. Our next post is by user HeavyAd5415, and it's titled, "Am I the asshole for telling my boyfriend's family that I bought our house, not him?" This whole thing started last month or so. Me, 27 female, and my boyfriend, 26 male, who I will call Matt for privacy's sake, have been together for 6 years now. I'm the main breadwinner, and that has always been a struggle in our relationship. I would say he's pretty insecure about earning less than me. About a year ago, I finally saved up enough to purchase a house in the neighborhood that I really like. Up until then, me and Matt had been living in his apartment, which is cramped and not located in a nice area. Matt has never been too bothered about moving. He likes living in his apartment, and he doesn't mind living elsewhere, as long as he doesn't have to pay more than half. Knowing damn well I could easily purchase the whole house, and it was a bargain for the area, I bit the bullet and bought it all from my own savings. When we moved in, Matt loved the place, and I thought everything was fine. And that's when he started furnishing an art room and suggesting going on a gaycation. Just kidding. Now, this is the reason I'm posting on Reddit. 2 days ago, me and Matt were over to his mum's place for dinner. Conversation was going fine until the topic of our house was brought up. Mother-in-law mentioned how proud she was of Matt for owning his own house at 26, which I was confused about, but obviously didn't want to start anything at the dinner table. And then Matt's sister chimed in about how much of an achievement it was. Matt looked over at me, not saying anything. I'm not usually a petty or confrontational person, but something about the fact that I was the one who not only bought the house, but also paid the majority of the bills, and Matt didn't even drop $1, stuck with me. So I decided to say something. I asked Matt who really bought the house in front of everyone. I know it was a dick move, but honestly, I was so riled up by that stage. Matt said nothing, and then I announced to everyone that Matt didn't even contribute to buying the house. Immediately after saying that, I packed up my stuff and went home. I've been texting with Matt's sister, who I will call Kate, who seems to be on my side. Matt is staying with his mum right now, so I have the house all to myself. He hasn't contacted me yet, and I don't know whether it's worth breaking up over a lie like this. Am I the asshole? In the comments, MeanTask6946 says, "My experience is that if you lie about little things, you are definitely gonna lie about the bigger things. Honestly, I don't think that this is a little thing at all. This is a huge deception. Not the asshole. He shouldn't have told his family that he bought the house if he didn't. Simple. As a matter of fact, he apparently told them that he bought the house before this dinner. OP, I think that you should enjoy the house all to yourself for a while. Matt not speaking to you and staying with his mum speaks volumes. The relationship is over. There might be a little bit of parting drama in there is all. It's probably a good idea to figure out what, if anything, would patch things up, not the arsehole. The fact that he said nothing actually speaks volumes. He wanted to look like a big man while riding his girlfriend's coattails. As for the breaking up part, I think that would depend on what he actually told his family. Did they assume that he contributed, or did he tell them that he did? If he told them he did, he is stealing your valor. Get him out. OP replies, Kate told me that he said he contributed. Tomorrow, I'm contacting him to see where this all goes. It should go nowhere. Time to say bye. You don't need him holding you back. Okay, so even after all my experience with Reddit, my honest immediate reaction was, Jesus, you're overreacting a little bit, OP. What's going on there? That's like an immediate reaction. Then I think about the situation more and I'm like, no. Actually, that was perfectly appropriate. Why did he lie like that? And why did he not speak up? You gave him the opportunity to correct the record, and he chose not to. He just stared at you and he's like, come on, run with the lie. Let everyone think that I'm the big man here, and I'm not just lying to make myself look good. Please continue. And I agree with the comments. If he's going to lie like this to the entire family, what else is he lying about? And what else can he lie about in the future? What is a relationship if there is no trust? Why stay with someone like this? He can and will lie about more things in the future. That is too much of a headache. Dump him, get rid of him, not the arsehole. And now, on to the update. Hi Reddit, I'm back. Last night I posted an Am I the Arsehole, and it kinda blew up. I don't know Reddit standards, but I think 400,000 views is a lot. So, some stuff happened today. Matt, fake name for my boyfriend, came back to the house. I was assuming he was coming back to get his things and leave, but I was unfortunately very wrong. He literally told me he could forgive me, and that he was moving back in, as if that was a good thing. Oh, the audacity. I was so shocked, but he was dead ass. So as any sane person would do, I grabbed all of his remaining stuff, gave it to him, and told him to get the hell out. He got really mad at that, and I was worried he would get aggressive. So I called Kate, sister-in-law, for backup. She was really helpful and drove Matt home. As soon as I can, I'm changing locks. As for some of the comments, I pay the mortgage, and I don't even think Matt knows what a mortgage is. I live in Canada, so I'm not sure if I have legal rights to kick him out. He has stayed with me just over a year. I'm trying to seek some lawyer advice. Thank you all for your help, and I'll try to update if I can. In the comments, Ancient Meal says, it's very dangerous how easily he lied about this. You deserve much better than this loser. You need to change all the locks and install a security system and cameras. Totally agree. Protecting yourself is a must. Trust your instincts and stay safe. He could forgive her? What an effing tool bag. Yeah, don't trust him. First off, bravo for owning your first home in Canada. I'm not sure which part of the country you live in, but owning a home in Canada has been very difficult for most. Secondly, congratulations on removing the do-nothing partner from your life. The fact that he has the audacity to blatantly lie to his family and then come around demanding your asset without any plan to contribute a red cent says a whole lot about his trifling ass. Lastly, you have a good job that pays well and you own your own home. You are newly single and are young. The right partner will find his way to you. Matt was merely an experience that helped you uncover what you don't want from a man going forward. Spot on. OP, carefully keep the last sentence. We grow and better ourselves from our experiences. You are on the right track. Absolutely, OP. Please learn from this experience and watch out for people like him in the future. I don't think this story is over. I think he's going to loop his family into going crazy. And unfortunately, like we've seen with comments, I saw a comment on my video yesterday, the problem I have with abusers are the people around them that enable them and back them up. I hope this family of his do not enable him, but if the flying monkeys start coming your way, I will feel very bad for you. I already do feel bad for you, but in that case, I'll feel a lot worse. Because, yeah, the people that enable them, that see misjustice in front of their face, they see evils happening, but choose to still go after the victim, upsets me. Why do people have to do that? Why are they so easily able to believe obvious bullshit? Please do take the advice of the comments and get a security system for yourself, and fight fire with napalm if you need to. Stay safe and thank you for the story. Our next post is by user Ina Rutabaga, and it's titled, "Am I the asshole here for wanting to back out of doing my sister-in-law a favor because I don't like that she installed cameras to be on the safe side? My wife used to get our niece ready and take her to daycare every Friday since she was off, and her sister had to be at work by 6:30 and daycare did not open until 7. My wife's work schedule changed and she could no longer do it. So I offered to change my schedule around to start work at 10. We've been doing this for around 4 months. My sister-in-law has voiced no concerns, and when she calls, I always answer. We recently found out that she installed cameras in her house, and when my wife brought it up, she told her that you never know. I'll be honest, I was taken aback because she has had no complaints in the past, but now she wants to have cameras because you never know? My wife did ask her sister, have I done anything that made her concerned or worried, and she said no, but that it was a safety issue once again, and she told my wife, you never know. At this point, I told my wife that I don't want to go into her house, I don't feel comfortable being in a home or around her daughter if that's what she's concerned about. My wife agrees that it is weird, also considering that I've known her sister for over 16 years. Others think that I'm blowing this out of proportion, but I don't like how she assumes the worst of me because I'm male. She told my wife that she had no concerns when she was doing it. In the comments, how did OP find out about the cameras? OP says, as for how we found out, I saw them, which is why my wife asked about them. I think you're taking it too personally. In this day and age, no one can ever really be too safe. If you otherwise have a good relationship with sister-in-law and niece, this really isn't worth tanking the relationship over. Maybe share with sister-in-law that you wish she had informed you of the cameras, as it feels like a breach of privacy. But she hasn't accused you of anything, so she isn't slighting your character. OP replies, to me, the action of installing the camera is a blow. My wife has been babysitting and doing this for years, and she had no need for cameras or safety concerns, but with me, she suddenly has the urge? That hurts a lot, and is hard not to take it personally. She even told my wife you never know. It means that she thinks a part of me is capable of hurting my niece. That hurts a lot. OP on how he is feeling about the cameras after he started to help with his niece. I'm worked up because my wife has watched our niece for years, did the whole getting her ready for daycare for years, and my sister-in-law never once installed cameras. I come into the picture and all of a sudden she's concerned? The part that gets me is that she waited so long and told my wife you never know. That hurts, and it means a part of her thinks that I'm a risk. What's so uncomfortable about a woman protecting her home, or anyone for that matter? I'm actually concerned for your wife, because if my significant other had this reaction, I'd be pausing majorly. OP replies, I think you're missing my point. If this was a general safety thing, then she would have done this a lot sooner. She also would not have told my wife that it was because you never know. Even my wife was taken aback by her sister's response and reasoning. As stated, if I had any doubts or thoughts a person was capable of harm, I would not let them in my house, let alone be around my children alone. That is how I would have handled this. Another commenter says, you're making a huge assumption. Maybe the you never know is about a home invasion or some other crime that could happen. You assuming it has anything to do with you, or wanting to quit over it, kinda makes it seem like you were worried about them. OP replies, my wife did ask if she had concerns or worries, but she told her, you never know. It is not a leap that this is what she told my wife, and yes, my wife was taken aback when she told her reasoning also. If this was a general safety issue, she had years to do it. My wife has been doing what I am doing for years prior. If I was OP, and I was having to deal with an entire family thinking that I was a pedophile, but also still having me look after their children and having me in their house, I would not continue doing it. That is not a good grounds to build a friendship and relationship with others. We've seen this bullshit before with the mum that reported the dad to the kindergarten or the childcare facility in which he was picking his daughter up from, where they said, "Oh, you can no longer pick up your daughter anymore because we've had some complaints." It's just that automatic assumption that because a man is working with young children, he is automatically assumed to be a pedophile. And we need to take steps to address that behavior with him, just in case he is. But if she really is worried that he is capable of doing that, she would just not accept him doing the babysitting. I understand that abuse is primarily from those that are within your family and closest to you. I completely get that. My point in this situation is that she is not doing anything to actually stop her daughter from being directly harmed by a predator. If that were to ever happen, all that would happen here is she sees it on the camera, it happens, and her daughter is scarred for life then. She has not done her job in protecting her child. And now, onto the update. I do appreciate the feedback and differing perspectives. I did speak with my sister-in-law and with my wife, and to say the least, it was enlightening. I did ask my sister-in-law why the sudden urge to install cameras, as she told my wife that she said that it was for safety purposes, since you never know. My wife did push back and asked her to elaborate as to what she meant. My sister-in-law tried to avoid answering directly, but my wife kept pushing, and finally, she did admit that she was not comfortable with me changing her daughter unsupervised. At this point, I asked my sister-in-law if she truly felt that I would harm her daughter, and honestly, she shrugged her shoulders. This annoyed me, but it did piss off my wife. My wife once again pushed the issue, and it turns out my sister-in-law was never comfortable with me watching her daughter and felt betrayed by my wife because she changed up an agreement that worked. She said that I was far too eager to change my work schedule to take over on Fridays, and it came off as insistent. I told her yes, I was insistent because I did not want my wife to give up on an opportunity because she felt beholden to an arrangement that she made with her. After that exchange, I told my sister-in-law that I would no longer take her daughter to daycare. This happened on Wednesday. She took off last Friday. So, long story short, she never wanted me to watch her daughter unsupervised, found it strange how eager I was to rearrange my Fridays to be with my niece. My wife's family thinks I am being weird and creepy. My wife had one final conversation with her sister on Friday, and apparently it got ugly since my sister-in-law did call to apologize, and I did appreciate that, but I told her either you trust me or you don't. Since she does not, I recommended that she find someone she does trust so she can be at ease. She tried to give me a sob story about how we are being unfair towards her, but all she was trying to do was keep her daughter safe. I told her the best way for her to do that was to find someone else that she trusts to handle Fridays or to change her job schedule. I was going to originally offer, as some suggested, she brings her daughter to us before she heads to work, but after the conversation, I decided that it was best for everyone that I took a step back. I don't know what will come of this in terms of the family, since most think that I'm being unreasonable, but my wife and I agree that if she's not comfortable with me, it is not our duty to make her comfortable. Thanks again. Update: I did want to point out that as many of you said, yeah, my wife is awesome. Some asked why am I not upset? I am upset, but more so hurt. Not just because of what was said about me, but more so because this situation will forever alter the relationship we have with her family, and I know that hurts my wife a lot. We love our niece, but I know my wife and her have a special bond that is her godchild. So I'm more so hurt that this has created a rift that will probably never be mended. In the comments, Opie's thoughts on the aftermath of the whole situation. I am upset, but it being overshadowed by the hurt. I have known my sister-in-law for 16 years, and it's been a major blow to think that she's afraid of me because I'm a guy. A commenter says, "This is so awful. I'm sorry. Just to brace you, she or the extended family might jump to the unreasonable conclusion that if you're not willing to help out because of cameras, then you must have been doing something that you don't want seen. Be prepared for that accusation. Explain that what changed wasn't the cameras, it was that you learned how she sees you. You thought she'd appreciate you inconveniencing yourself to make her life easier, and instead, she assumed horrible things about you. You aren't interested in helping someone who doesn't respect you, and you're not willing to risk your own safety if she's willing to jump to such conclusions without a reasonable cause. OP replies, "They already have. That's what hurts the most because this will forever alter the relationship that we have with their family. Good for you and your wife. She stuck up for you, and you are holding your boundaries. This is on sister-in-law to fix the dynamic. If she doesn't trust you, then you never need to be involved with helping care for her kids. She's an adult and can figure her shit out herself. If your wife's family thinks you're being weird and creepy, all the more reason to avoid all contact with them. Not the asshole. She basically said that she thinks you're a creep, but still expected you to do her a favor. You set a boundary after being disrespected, and somehow you're the weird one? Nah. If she doesn't trust you, she can find someone else and deal with the consequences." And there she goes, spreading false accusations to the rest of the family. Love that when they poison the well. I don't even know how you fix your reputation with the rest of the family after accusations like this are put against you. I feel like her side of the family will forever view him as a predator after this. Am I wrong in saying that though? Like, am I really going too far with my rhetoric here? I genuinely believe this will be a stain on his reputation when he has done nothing wrong. It's just another one of those situations where it's like incredibly unfair to have someone that is so worried about you harming another, but still wants you to do that, and ultimately you are punished. No good deed goes unpunished. I get where she's coming from, but it's entirely unfounded, and I hope she recognizes that and apologizes one day. Thank you for the story, OP. I don't know how you fix this one, but if you do, let us know. Our next post is by user Impossible Fun, and it's titled, I, 28 male, think my friends with benefits, 27 female, has feelings for me. I don't know how to navigate this. So, about 6 months back, I went out for drinks with some friends, one of which was Chris, fake name obviously. Chris and I have known each other since we were in middle school, and we're never super close, but we're always good friends, if that makes sense. She got wasted and was being flirted with by another guy in the group who was sober, which set off alarm bells for me. So when we were all walking back to our apartments, and he had lingered instead of going to my apartment, I ended up crashing on her couch. The next morning, while we were having breakfast, she admitted that she found me cute, really appreciated what I did the night before, and wanted to know if I'd be up for a friends with benefits situation. So ever since, we've been just that. We'd both just gotten out of relationships at the time, and surprisingly, this friends with benefits situation resulted in us actually becoming really close friends, to where we now actually just hang out to hang out more often than we hang out specifically with the intention to sleep with each other. Well, before we had a pretty strict no staying the night rule, because for her, that just felt like a step beyond friends with benefits. But late last month, she asked if I'd be willing to stay the night, just because I really need someone to cuddle with tonight. And I didn't think anything of it, and obliged. But now it's become every time we do it, one of us ends up staying the night at the other's apartment. She's also been making more overly flirty comments towards me when we're with friends, which was another rule that we had because we wanted to keep things private. The problem is, I don't know that I share her feelings. She's amazing, don't get me wrong. She's beautiful. I cannot undersell this. I work in a field where I work with models on a regular basis, and most of them do not compare. I have no idea why she picked me of all people. She is brilliant, driven, and one of the kindest people I know. This girl volunteers at a soup kitchen weekly. I've been incredibly grateful to have gotten closer to her over the last 6 months. I think she's one of those people that you're lucky if you get to meet even one of in your whole life. I know once feelings get involved, there's no real going back to strict friends with benefits, but I also would rather get buried alive than hurt her. So I would love advice on how to handle this. In the comments, I think this is unavoidable. Two close friends who know each other and sleep together are bound to get attached. There aren't many options. No more friends with benefits, just friends, or no more friendship, just the benefits. As for navigating it, if you don't want to be in a relationship, you can let her know. It's likely that the friendship will get messy, and it's quite possible that you would need to take some space from each other until you can reset the friendship. I am of the belief that ultimately, friends with benefits don't really work in the long term. They are temporary situations for all parties until one finds a partner or gets attached to the other party. OP replies, I do kind of dread the conversation. I know it's something that I have to do, but she's my best friend in the entire world, and I would do anything for her. I just don't think that I share romantic feelings for her. Part of it might be that the relationship that I got out of shortly before starting this with her ended spectacularly badly and very much exploded, and I don't know that I'm ready for a relationship with anyone, honestly. But at the same time, I dread if I tell her it could harm our friendship. F50 replies, not having this conversation is being unfair to her. She is getting strung along, maintaining the hope that you might want to be with her down the road. This prevents her from moving forward and potentially seeking a romantic partner. It's impossible to know what the friendship will turn into, but you both implicitly accepted the consequences when you started sleeping with each other. She will hurt in the short term, but will surely be thankful knowing that she can make an informed decision regarding the nature of your guys' relationship. OP replies, a totally fair point. I only really had all of this click this morning when I came here to make a post. I don't know that I've even fully processed it, if I'm being entirely honest. But I know that she's off work. I think it's probably time to pull the band-aid off. I don't even know that a relationship with her in the future is completely off the table, but I do know that at the moment, it might have to be because I don't know that I'm in a position to have a relationship with anyone. F50 replies, it's great that you realized that, and it sounds like you own it fully. I was in a similar situation a while back, and I decided to stop seeing the person for 6 months, and that really helped. Ultimately, the friendship didn't work out, but things might be different for you since it sounds like the friendship is really strong. I wouldn't mention to her that a relationship is potentially on the table because that might lead her to keep hoping. OP replies, we had a brief conversation, and it was exactly as I suspected. I told her up front that I was not in a good place to be in a relationship. Frankly, I have trust issues and stuff right now that I've got to work through first in therapy. I told her that I think the world of her, but that at this point in my life, I'm not ready to enter a committed relationship. She said she understood and then hung up. I'm going to give her some space and let her lead reaching back out if she chooses to. I think that was a very mature thing for you to do, OP. You're very much in limbo in this situation, and she is steering the ship into a more emotionally attached place. You've taken the option of letting her go and letting her know that you are not ready for a relationship, and I absolutely respect that. That's better than lying to yourself, and that is much better than lying to her. Thank you for doing the right thing. And now, onto the update. Well, I didn't really expect to have an update this soon, or at all. I suspect it'll be the only update. After the first post, I called her and I told her that I suspected that she had feelings, I was right, and I told her that I didn't have feelings, and I wasn't ready for a relationship out of panic for the situation. Thankfully, it was therapy day. I talked things out with my therapist about how I have serious fears about getting back into a relationship, how those fears made me react way too quickly, and how now that things potentially collapsed, I've re-examined how I feel about her. After therapy, I just let myself sit with things for a while, and then I called her. The call went to voicemail, so I texted her and let her know that I wanted to talk and wanted to do it in person if she was willing. She texted back and said she was willing to meet for dinner to hear me out. So I laid everything out for her. How my last relationship messed me up, and how that made me panic when I realized she had feelings and act before I even gave myself time to process. And then I told her how I really felt. That her voice is my favorite sound, how her smile is what I see when I close my eyes. All of it. And most importantly, that if she was willing to be patient with me, I wanted to give us a shot. Anyways, I'm taking her on a proper date this weekend. In the comments, Kajit Iffy says, "After reading your first post before this one, I'm glad you came to the realization because the way you talked about her made it clear to me that you had some deep feelings too, that you just weren't ready to recognize them for what they were. I'm glad your therapist helped you out as well. I hope everything goes well for you both." And OP says, "Therapy is the best. I think because of my history, I was afraid to let myself feel feelings again. But this sneaky effort got to me." Contran says, "I'm glad you got your head sorted. Based on how you described her, it definitely sounded like you had some feelings. They're just really messy with the other stuff you're dealing with." OP replies, "Honestly, reading back how I described her and how I felt the need to gush about her was the first moment I went, wait, do I have feelings?" Broly224 says, "Very happy for you. Wishing you both a long relationship." And OP says, "Thank you. I'm gonna have to make up for being an idiot, but I intend to do that as thoroughly as possible." Initial Company says, "I read it, and in the first one I thought, ooh, OP is in love. We are so goddamn good at making ourselves into pretzels when it comes to feelings. I'm so happy for OP." Yeah, the way he wrote about her made it so clear how much he loved her. I'm glad he was able to figure it out and reverse course. Hooray for open and honest communication before it was too late. She's my best friend in the world, the sex is great, and she's hot as hell, but I don't have feelings for her. Like, what? Therapy is a winner. I was thinking, dude, you just described a relationship. You're already dating. People who date their best friends are some of the happiest marriages anyway. I married a friend of mine after we'd known each other for over 20 years. I'd never thought of him as a partner, but when we were both single, I got up the courage to ask him to fool around a little bit. 8 years later, I don't see my future with anyone else. My fiancé made a split-second decision that cost me a year of my life, and I'm furious. Me, 26 female, my fiancé, 30 male, and his son, 5 years old, were out getting Chipotle on March 14th. On the way home, we reached a busy intersection with a blinking yellow light. My fiancé was driving, and I could tell that he was about to go. I saw a car coming fast, and I very clearly told him to wait until the light was green. I don't know if he didn't hear me, didn't take me seriously, or just ignored me, but he kept driving forward anyway, and we got T-boned by a car going 50 miles per hour. Everyone else walked away fine, including his son, thank God, but I was crushed. I ended up with 2 full breaks in my pelvis, 2 fractures in my tailbone, fractures in my L4 and L5 vertebrae, and a fractured sternum. I was, and still am, in so much pain I can't even explain it. I wouldn't wish this kind of pain on anyone. I was rushed to the ER where everything was a complete blur, except the trauma. I started having intense flashbacks, panic attacks, and nightmares about the crash and the pain. I had to undergo surgery where 2 7-inch steel screws were inserted into my pelvis. At the hospital, they gave me a back brace that was way too big for me. The nurses and PTs even admitted that they didn't measure and just guessed my size. Even when we told them that it was too big, they didn't do anything about it. And despite this, they expected me to stand up and move around wearing it. The brace did nothing for support. Moving in it felt like my spine and pelvis were being ripped apart. The pain I was in trying to follow their orders to stand and walk was inhumane. All I remember from those days is pain, frustration, fear, and this overwhelming sense of helplessness. After about a week, I was transferred to a physical rehabilitation center. I didn't want to eat, I didn't want to bathe, I didn't want to move. I was so depressed and in so much pain that even thinking about shifting in bed made me cry. I had to depend on strangers for the most basic things: going to the bathroom, bathing, and even feeding myself. As someone who has always been independent, it was utterly humiliating and devastating. I'm home now, but my recovery is far from over. Doctors and physical therapists all told me the same thing. You have the second worst kind of break anyone can experience. You'll need at least a year to recover, if not longer. You can't put weight on your leg for 3 months, no bending, no twisting, and even after the 3 months, it'll be a very slow process. And that's the part that's eating me alive, because before this, I was finally getting my life together. I was working on my health, I was eating right, doing CrossFit regularly, and getting stronger, and finally meeting people and socializing. I had just gone back to college. I was finally building structure into my life after being recently diagnosed with ADHD. And now? It's all on hold. I can't work out, I can't leave the house unless it's for a doctor's appointment, I can't do anything by myself. And it feels like I lost everything that I was working so hard to build. And even though my fiancé has been supportive throughout all of this, and is helping taking care of me, I'm so angry at him. I told him, I warned him, I said don't go, wait. And when I asked him why he kept going, he just said, I don't know. And that I don't know is now costing me an entire year of my life, maybe more. And I'm the one who's paying for it every single day. So yeah, I just needed to get this off my chest. I feel trapped in my own body. I feel like I'm grieving the life that I could have had this year. I feel angry, sad, helpless, and I'm just trying to make sense of it all, but mostly, I just want my life back. I know this is temporary, I know that I'll eventually recover, but losing a year of my life, my sense of normalcy, and my peace of mind is really, really rough. If anyone has any advice on how I can work on this, or maybe even share their own experiences similar to this one, I would greatly appreciate it. In the comments, was everyone in the car wearing seatbelts? OP says, yes, everyone was wearing a seatbelt. One Boxer Mum says, that would be a deal breaker for me. That's so funny out of context. Yeah, everyone was wearing a seatbelt. That's a deal breaker for me. The Woman S says, I have a permanent spinal injury. I can move and walk just fine on the good days, but on the bad days, I need crutches just to go to the loo. I am so sorry to say this, but this is not just a year. This is a lifetime injury now that you are going to have to deal with. You know what got me through mine? What keeps me going? Knowing that I can trust the people around me, good days or bad. Please seriously think about if 5 or 10 years down the line, will you be able to trust your fiancé, or is the distrust and anger, which you have every right to feel, going to fester inside you and make those bad days 100 times worse when you see him? Now this is the most important part. You will get through this. I absolutely believe that. I remember the day that I accepted that I was going to get through it because I was able to walk down to the tattoo shop near me, stand in line for 4 hours, and get a Friday the 13th tattoo to celebrate just being able to walk. You have a long road ahead of you, sister. Just know that you aren't alone. And Vegetable Cod says, OP, you should start seeing a therapist, maybe over Zoom first, and discuss this. Maybe start journaling as well. You should definitely talk with someone about this anger that you have towards your fiancé, and you may want to do couples counseling. I agree with Boxer Mum. I'd be done, because that was a really reckless move that could have killed everyone, and his response of, I don't know, doesn't cut it for me. Yeah, I'm on board with Vegetable Cod in this instance. You don't just say, I don't know, to something like that. You've got to explain yourself, and you've got to hold yourself accountable for it. If you can't be honest with OP after you debilitated her, then what are you doing? Why are you with this person? Have you no shame, OP's boyfriend? You can't just I don't know your way through life and expect everything to go well for you. You gotta have some more humility and have some more critical thinking skills instead of just saying, ha, it is what it is, man. I guess I just do things sometimes. That just rubs me the wrong way. And as much as it's, sad to say, I don't know what to say to OP in this instance. I do hope that you heal, OP. I do hope that one day life is better. But as it stands, I'm not convinced this relationship can or should continue after that. He doesn't sound like he's been the most supportive person in the world at all. And now, onto the update. I honestly didn't expect my post to receive this much attention. I was just venting my thoughts and emotions in the moment as I'm still going through the stages of grief. Thank you to everyone who took the time to share their thoughts, advice, and support regarding my situation. I want to clear up a few things and provide some additional context, including my fiancé's perspective on why he didn't stop. To start, for those wondering about where the accident happened, since the rules around blinking yellow lights vary, it took place in Texas, within the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That's all I'll share location-wise for privacy reasons. Next, a lot of people have asked whether my fiancé has shown remorse and how he's been supporting me since the accident. The answer is yes, he's been devastated. He has apologized to me multiple times, at the crash site, in the hospital, during rehab, and at home. He's also been having panic attacks himself as of lately, something that he's never experienced prior to the accident. There was one moment where he called me panicking because he couldn't find his truck keys and desperately wanted to come see me to make sure that I'm doing okay. My mum had to drive over to him to calm him down and help. He also continued to visit me frequently in the hospital and at the rehab center, and he's been advocating for me when I had issues, such as the back brace I was given, which was clearly too large. Side note, despite multiple people from my family, fiancé, and even the PTs mentioning it, the hospital staff did not replace it. It wasn't until I called the hospital a week later, frustrated, that they finally took action. I had to put on my Karen voice and explain that their failure to properly size the brace was actively hindering my recovery. Eventually, I got a new one in a smaller size. Fun fact, the brace only comes in 2 sizes, small/medium and large/extra large. I'll let you guess which one they gave me. My fiancé has also been helping me understand the insurance claim process. From what we know, I may be looking at around $100,000. Additionally, at home, he's made sure that I have what I need to recover. He just bought me a $300 plus bed frame that moves up and down similarly to the hospital beds that I was used to, because I can't move up and down as normally without feeling pain or being at the risk of re-breaking something. He's also been cooking for me and for my visiting family, helping me clean up, assisting with daily tasks, and has made it clear that he doesn't expect me to lift a finger and only wants me to focus on healing. He's even told me how he's going to halt his plans on expanding his side business so that he can spend more time tending to me during my recovery. With this said, I've seen a lot of comments saying that I should leave him or even sue him, calling him arrogant or careless. I understand those reactions. But looking back, I would have to admit that this was an honest mistake that anyone could make at any time of the day at any point of time. A bad mistake? Yes, but nonetheless, simple human error at the end of the day. I'm just angry that it's happened to me, but that's something that I'll have to work through on my own. With the "I don't know" reply that he had given me a week earlier, I will admit that he may have still been experiencing shock or trauma, and his mind seemed to have been drawing a blank when I had asked him, because I asked him this same question today. Why didn't you stop when I told you to? He told me he thought the gap between us and the oncoming car was big enough to make it. He didn't realize how close it actually was. He also said that he didn't hear me say stop until it was too late, at which point we were already hit. I told him that I said it much earlier, and he admitted that he just didn't hear me. He feels horrible. He's told me every time he approaches a yellow light while driving now, he reminds himself of what happened and how stupid he feels for not being more careful that night. I'm not excusing what happened. It was traumatic, but I do believe he's learning from it and taking accountability for everything as best as he can. I'm just the angry, bitter one that is needing to work through my emotions and grief that I'm experiencing because of the accident. That said, I've resumed individual therapy. Weekly now instead of monthly, and I had my first session since the accident as of yesterday, and my fiancé and I will be attending couples counseling together. Yes, I plan on staying with him. I know a lot of you are coming from a place of concern and care, and I truly appreciate that. At the same time, I want to gently remind everyone that I'm a real person going through a very real and painful experience. What I shared was raw and vulnerable, not a call to be judged or attacked. It's okay to disagree with how I'm choosing to move forward, but please remember that I'm the one living this day to day. Healing, both physical and emotional, isn't linear, and I'm doing the best I can. Thank you again for the overwhelming response. I'm reading as many comments as I can, even if I can't reply to everyone. Please continue to take care of yourselves and those you love. Hold anyone you care about closely to you, because when you least expect it, life can change in an instant. In the comments, not here to pass judgment on you or your fiancé, but I wanted to ask you one question I don't think I've seen. How has his son been since the accident? Obviously physically unharmed, but has anything changed that you've observed from him seeing you undergo all of this pain in rehab, or possibly seeing his dad suffer any panic attacks? I hope all is well with you and your family, sending nothing but positive vibes. OP replies, his son has seen me at the wreck and hasn't seen me since. Not at the hospital, not at the rehab center, and not back at home. He lives with his mother. He has asked if I'm okay, and I did get to speak on the phone with him briefly. For him personally, he had one nightmare and was worried about me for a few days in the first few days after the wreck, but since then, my understanding is that he's back to his bubbly self and is enjoying the extra attention from friends and family members as they are giving him surprise gifts and taking him out to his favorite restaurant. Albanian Artie says, this is just an incredibly sad situation. Yeah, holy hell. Sure, not yielding to a flashing yellow properly is silly, but all of the people saying to leave him and sue him have to be heartless. Obviously, from the perspective of the furious victim of a car crash that she tried to prevent, the cause of the crash is going to be portrayed in a heated way. Maniacal Shen says, this story is confusing to me as a Marylander. Blinking yellow means you have the right of way if you're going straight. The cross direction always has a blinking red that they're supposed to treat as a stop sign. Blinking yellows pretty much only occur at fire stations and intersections that get too quiet to justify proper light cycles at night. So to me, this reads like she should sue the life out of whoever she saw careening at a blinking red at 50 miles per hour. No legal fault to the fiancé. But in Texas, blinking yellow means yield? Added to add, apparently the fiancé was turning. I was confused because the poster literally said of her fiancé, but he kept driving forward anyway and mentioned no turns or arrows. But it looks like he was in the left turn lane when folks going straight had a green light, looking at a blinking yellow arrow, and he misjudged when to go. Completely his fault, and though I'm not impressed with the other driver, sounds like the traffic is way too fast to be taking those chances. Venora the Barbarian says, I coincidentally was born and raised in MD and now live in Texas. And yeah, Texas driving is wild. The flashing yellow she's talking about is for turning across traffic. It's basically, don't necessarily stop, but definitely look before you turn because that oncoming traffic has right of way. My list of complaints on how Texans can handle turn lanes is longer than a CVS receipt and includes driver behavior as well as actual traffic laws. But that oncoming car was looking at a green light. Judge Jury X78 says, that commenter who said that it's not a year, it's lifelong or whatever, my best friend had similar injuries in a car accident at 19. We're in our 40s now. She is still suffering. I really hope OP's situation is different. Just a tragic series of events there, and I know that I was very harsh in my criticisms before because I didn't have the full story, but that's because I didn't have the full story, so obviously I'm going to react that way when OP is ranting. It does appear, though, that as they talked more, the answer became more than I don't know. It was I didn't hear you. And that was a very costly mistake. I still blame him for the accident. At the end of the day, he was the one putting his fiancée and his 5-year-old child in harm's way by not paying attention to the road. From my understanding now, that driver that was careening at 50 miles an hour down the road had a green light. How are they supposed to know with it? Are they supposed to be watching for some maniac turning left into their lane when they have a green? I'm just venting. Life's not fair. What an incredibly tragic and unfortunate series of events. I'm sad this had to happen, but I hope you two are able to continue working on this together, OP, and that life gets better in some way, somehow. Thank you for your story, and thank you for your warnings of Texas and its funny little traffic laws. Our next post is by user Tally Enjoyer, and it says, I'm gonna ask the woman at the store next door out on Monday, and I'm nervous for the first time since I was a teenager. I work IT for a few stores in the area. Next to my main office is a Bath & Body Works, and the most beautiful woman that I've ever met works there. I went in for the first time a few weeks ago to get my mum a gift, and the woman that helped me find stuff for her was gorgeous. My knees almost buckled when we accidentally made arm-to-arm contact moving through the store. I don't know if it was her enchanting me or sensory overload from all the candles and lotion, probably a bit of both. We've run into each other a few times since then and made small talk outside. She is so easy to talk to and so funny. Her laugh makes me wish that I were funnier so I could hear it more, like music to my ears. Could be hopeful thinking, but I get the feeling that she might be into me too. So on Monday, I'm planning on stopping by and asking her if she'd like to go out for a coffee or something. I haven't been this nervous asking someone out since I was in high school over a decade ago. I won't be asking her out while she's working, just putting this here because it's almost every comment that I'm getting at this point. In the comments, the third strike says, best of luck. Just remember the worst that can happen is that she says no, and you go on with your day. OP says, I've had my fair share of rejections. A no would suck, but I'd survive. I'm hoping that my read on her is accurate, and I have a shot though. Tenedra says, I highly recommend making your pitch and then giving her your phone number and leaving, rather than putting her on the spot to give a response in the moment. She's there to work, not to get hit on, and being in customer service where you're required to be nice to people can make things complicated. I'm not saying she won't be interested, and I'm rooting for you, but this would make her more comfortable. OP says, she won't be at work when I ask her out. Most of our interactions have been after her or both of us were off the clock. Rockpool Creator says, how much have you spoken to her? Have you even asked her if she has a family? What she does with her free time? Just because a woman hasn't got a ring on it doesn't mean she hasn't got someone. I've been engaged for 6 years and barely wear my engagement ring. Women who work in shops already have to deal with a lot of men hitting on them, mainly because they're at work and are being friendly because they're in a customer service mode. At least you're not asking her at work, but please check that she's single if you haven't already before asking. OP says, honest question, did I describe these interactions in a way that makes me sound like some creep following a poor woman around just because she was nice to me in a shop once? I wanted to get this off my chest because I'm a bit nervous about asking her out, but this comment, and a few others like it, are really depressing. And to somewhat answer your questions, I know a bit about her family in the area, and we've shared some of what we do in our free time together. None of that involved her mentioning a significant other of any kind. She has initiated these interactions each time. I say go for it then, If she hasn't made it clear that she has a partner or there is anyone else that she is seeing in her life, that to me sounds like you've got the green light to go and ask her out somehow, some way. Just keep up the same interactions you have and find a place in that conversation to bring it up some way. Might as well shoot your shot before someone else does, I reckon. And now, onto the update. I posted here to shake off my nerves about asking someone out that worked next door to where I work. Yesterday, I planned on asking her out to coffee. I got busy and it slipped my mind though. Luckily, she stopped by to talk anyway. I was loading up the company van yesterday for today's tickets when she came over to chat while I worked. Mostly small talk while I loaded boxes and did my paperwork. She was on her way to her car to head home when she stopped by, so before she left, I asked if she'd be interested in grabbing a coffee sometime, and she countered with an offer to go try out the ice cream place down the road when I was done for the day. She came back when my shift was over, and we met for milkshakes and sat around talking for a good while. I was nervous at first, but she's remarkably easy to talk to. We talked about our families, hobbies, jobs, and had a rather passionate debate on the best trails to walk in the area. So I proposed an outing this weekend to get our steps in and figure out who is right. Numbers have been shared, and even though she's off today and I don't get to see her, we've been texting a bit. Pretty boring update, I'm sure, but that's it. February Tide says, milkshakes over coffee. This gal is winning. Bodacious Vermin says, boring update? Nah, this is all good and normal. You offered a future coffee, and she countered with an immediate ice cream. Then it became a shake and long convo with a follow-up long-duration hike. You got this. Have fun. Sounds like she was very interested from the get-go. Going out of her way to walk over and say hi to him before she goes to her car, and then immediately countering for a same-day ice cream date. Absolutely. And she really liked and trusted him to agree to a date doing something isolated like hiking. He makes her feel safe. Am I the asshole here? My dad crashed my car and my parents won't let me use theirs. I, 21 male, have been living at my parents' house due to recent life events. We have a pretty good relationship, but of course, we have our moments. Well, about a week ago, my mum was at work and my dad needed to run by the store. He couldn't wait until mum got back, so he asked to borrow my car. I agreed to let him have it, as I didn't have anything that I needed to do right then. Well, about 40 minutes later, I get a call from him saying that he had been in an accident. Of course, that scared the shit out of me, and I made sure that he was okay first. He said he was fine and explained the accident. Long story short, he ran a stop sign and smacked straight ahead into another vehicle. Luckily, no one got seriously injured, except my car. It's busted up pretty bad. Without going into too much detail, the bumpers, headlights, hood, and parts of the engine are messed up. I got my car in the shop, and I'm still waiting on the estimated time that it will take for me to get it back. Until then, though, I need a car to get to and from work, and that's where the problem is. See, me and my mum have different work schedules, but similar enough to where I could see us working something out. She usually goes in an hour earlier than me and gets off about 30 minutes before me. I figured that I could drop her off, go to work, and then pick her up. Well, my mum hates that idea. She says that she doesn't want to have to rely on me to pick her up or get her to work on time. She said since she wasn't involved in the accident, she shouldn't be affected by the consequences. I told her it would just be until I got my car back, but she didn't care. I was expecting my dad to back me up, seeing as he's the reason that I got into this mess. But instead, he just agreed with her and said that I should find a different way. But the problem is, there is no different way. There's no good public transportation system in our town, and we live about 45 minutes away from where I work. My dad suggested that I biked to work, which I quickly shut down. I'd rather not have to bike all the way to and from work every day when we could literally just share a car. I told them that it was unfair for them not to let me use their car since Dad crashed mine. Then they said that I was just being ungrateful as they were already putting a roof over my head and that I shouldn't expect much more from them. I have no idea where they even thought that I was being ungrateful. All I'm saying is, why should I choose a harder, more time-consuming way to work when there is an easier option? Am I being unreasonable? I feel like at the least, Dad could convince Mum to let me use their car since this is his fault. But instead, he's just sitting there agreeing with everything that she says. I would ask my siblings to chime in on this, but knowing them, they'll just agree with my parents. So am I the arsehole here? In the comments, Optimal Side says, not the arsehole. Your dad caused the situation, he should be fixing it, bottom line. If that means letting you borrow the car, you should have priority because he's at fault for your original transportation. I'm not a fan of children suing their parents usually, except in specific circumstances. I think OP finds himself in one such circumstance. If the dad isn't covering the damage to the car, then 100% I agree with you. Your mum is being totally unreasonable. Tell your dad that he needs to pay for you to Uber and Lyft to work and back if he can't convince your mum to share their car with you. He created this problem and he needs to fix it. Telling you to ride a bike is ridiculous and unacceptable. Was there a police report for the accident? And did you notify your insurance company and your father's insurance company? Some insurance policies will pay something towards a rental, and some car rental companies have lower rates for people getting their cars fixed. And what are you going to do when you get the estimate for repairs? OP did not answer any of those questions, but in a situation like this, that's pretty pertinent to know that. I'm going to assume that OP did read all these comments and has cooked something up in the back of their mind as to how to deal with this situation. But honestly, what a kick in the balls that dad goes and crashes the car, and I'm gonna guess that he's not paying for the car repair. I know assumptions make an ass out of you and me, but if he's going so far as to threaten OP with, oh, I'm putting a roof over your head, and I'm gonna back my very much unreasonable wife in this instance, then I think it's fair to assume that he's not paying for the repair. And yeah, maybe you do have to threaten suing your parents in this instance, but there's no easy, good solution to any of this. I really doubt he's going to want to pay for an Uber and Lyft as well. Like, yes, the onus is on him to fix this situation, but I imagine if you press them any further on this, they've already been such assholes, they're probably going to threaten to kick you out and say, you're being unreasonable making all these demands. We don't have to look after you anymore, so get out. And then all your siblings are going to agree with them. Please just tell me this was a nightmare you had and not like a real situation, OP, please? And now, onto the update, titled, Am I the asshole here? My parents kicked me out of the house with no warning. For a bit of backstory, I've been living with my parents due to some recent life events. About a month ago, I made a post here talking about how my dad crashed my car and my mum refused to let me use theirs for my commute to work. Long story short, my parents ended up paying for the expenses to have my car fixed. We did also end up sharing a car until I had mine back. After that, I thought that it was all done and over. My mum made a comment about it here and there, but it didn't seem to seriously bother her. Until about a week and a half ago, she demanded that I pay them all the money for my car expense back. She said that it wasn't fair that she lost money to an accident that she didn't cause, and I think that's fair, but I reminded her that I didn't cause it either. Dad caused the accident, and I told her that I'm sorry that it ended up affecting her as well, but that didn't change the fact that my car had to be fixed, and it was Dad's responsibility. She got really mad at that and started on a rant about how it was unfair and that I was using them for money, and what was my dad's response to all of this? He just agreed with her. I ended up just telling her what I've already said because there was honestly nothing else to say. She's been very upset with me since then, but she never mentioned any possibility of kicking me out. So imagine my surprise a couple of days ago when I came home to all of my stuff being outside of the house, in boxes, literally on the curb. I was honestly shocked and mad about this, and I immediately went in the house to question my parents about this. My mum said that she was tired of letting someone so ungrateful live in her house. My dad just repeated what my mum said, but in a kinder way because I guess he thought she was being harsh. I couldn't believe it. I asked her to explain how I have been being ungrateful, and she responded by basically saying that we raised you. We went back and forth for a bit, and we were both pretty mad at each other. Then my mum told me to leave the house, or else she would call the police on me. I have no idea if anything actually would have came of that situation, but at that point, I was so confused and angry that I just went outside and called around to someone that I was able to stay with. I ended up sleeping at a friend's house. It's been a couple of days now, and siblings have both been calling me. I guess my parents must have told them what had happened. I'm assuming it was specifically my mum bad-talking me to them. My sister agrees with my mum and says that I should have just paid the money back. My brother agrees that it was unfair for them to kick me out, but also says that I should have just paid the money back. My dad has also been trying to reach out to me, but honestly I've been too mad to pick up the phone for him. I'm just so shocked by this whole situation. I wouldn't say me and my parents' relationship has always been easy street, but it's never been this bad. I honestly thought we were good until all of this. The worst part is, I was planning to move out and rent an apartment with a friend once their lease was up in 2 months. My parents knew that and still decided to do this. I'm just so confused, and I don't understand where they're coming from. I get they raised me and took care of me and all that, but I just feel like it doesn't give them the right to do this all of a sudden. I don't think that I did anything wrong, so honestly, am I the asshole here in this situation? In the comments, Humble Finish says, not the asshole. Your dad is not accepting responsibility for what he did. He's hiding behind your mum's argument that she didn't cause this, which is kinda wrong. If it was a stranger's car that he crashed and he had to pay, and they used it for any assets your dad owns, including some that are jointly owned by your mum, that would also be fair game. As she is married to him, then they are one unit in the eyes of some institutions. Either way, I'm sorry that you're going through this, and I'm glad you had a friend that you can count on and also a place to move to in a few months. Make sure you have all of your important documents and anything else so that if you want to speak to them again, it is on your own terms. Not the asshole. Your dad crashed that car, not you. Your parents overreacted by kicking you out with no warning, especially when you were already planning to move soon. You didn't deserve that. You're not responsible for the accident, so there's no way you're responsible for the money. It's fine if they want you to move out, but that's not the way to do it. Do your best, find a place, live your life, and when they come crawling back, tell them to piss off. Warn your siblings that they'll probably do the same to them. OP replies, I probably should have said this in the post, but my siblings are older than me. My sister is in her late 20s, and my brother in his early 30s. They are already well off and out of the house. I honestly think that's another point of tension with my mum, because right now, in her own words, I'm the only one of her kids that is failing at life. Muted Inspector replies, at 21? Such a disgusting frame of mind. Both of your parents are trash people. I'm sorry if that stings, but screw them. No one has failed at life at 21. Your parents have treated you badly. Good luck, rise above them, and never look back. Your life is just starting at 21. Your parents comparing you to your siblings that have 10 years or more on you of life experience, employment, and everything else is genuinely disgusting. For them to both be saying that you failed at life is ridiculous. Oh look, yeah, you just got out the gates, you're just starting to get involved in everything, and you're not in the same place as your 33-year-old brother, so you're failing at life. You're an embarrassment, you're a disgrace. You don't have a house, kids, and a partner of 10 years. Look at you, you little failure. And of course, your dad is right behind her, agreeing with everything because he has no spine. He's a little parasite that's attached to her. Honestly, at this point, OP, the way to deal with people like this is to completely cut them out of your life. Go no contact with your parents for a significant amount of time. No good can come out of staying in contact with them any longer right now. Maybe in the future when they learn their lesson, if they learn their lesson, you can come back to them, but right now, absolutely cut them off. They have earned it. And now, onto the latest update. Some things have happened since my last post. I calmed down a bit and decided to finally answer one of my dad's calls. He started talking about how afraid he was that I was never going to talk to them again, and then he said that things weren't supposed to go that way the other day, and apologized for Mum putting my stuff outside. Apparently the plan was to talk to me about it first, but he said that Mum got caught up in her emotions. When I asked why he didn't step in, he said that it was because he didn't want to upset her anymore. I didn't really want to accept that excuse, but I took it so that we could move forward. That was until I got another call from my brother. Mum has been absolutely shit-talking me to him and my sister. Apparently she kept comparing me to them and how good they are doing. Mind you, they're both older than me by several years. Then she went on a rant about how much harder it's been to raise me compared to them. At one point, he says that she even insinuated that I was a mistake, though he says to take that with a grain of salt, as she didn't outright say it. My brother was uncomfortable with listening to her talk about me so harshly, and he decided to call and tell me. I'm feeling a mix of emotions about all this right now. Part of me is still mad about the whole suddenly kicking me out thing, but I'm mostly just sad about it all. Knowing that my mum is saying all of this stuff behind my back only makes me think that she really means it, and whether she outright said it or not, hearing that she thinks I'm a mistake honestly crushed my soul. I don't understand why, but I guess she has her reasons. I don't really want to talk to her again, but I do really want to know the truth of why she feels this way about me. I'm not sure about Dad yet. I'm not the type to cut people off, and having to do it to one person is already too much for me. I'm still staying with my friend as of now until I figure out what I'm doing. I guess I'll see how it goes from here. In the comments, Difficult Bed says, "Not the asshole." This really broke my heart to read. No one deserves to hear that kind of stuff from their own mum. Don't blame yourself. Sometimes people project their pain in the ugliest ways. Sending you so much love right now. Honestly, it just sounds like OP's mother is an absolutely nasty woman, and his father sounds utterly pathetic. OP, cut them off or out of your life. If they want to genuinely apologize and actually feel remorse, tell them that this is the only way that you'll have a relationship with them. You're doing amazing for a 21-year-old, and I'm so sorry this is happening to you. Your dad is spineless, his apology is hollow, and if his wife told him to stop communicating with you, have zero doubt that he would roll over and show his belly. Your post history shows the kind of people they are and just how little they want to hold themselves accountable. Not the asshole here. Also happened to me. Do you have a plan? OP says, not yet. Before they kicked me out, my plan was to get an apartment with a friend once their lease was up in a couple of months, but I'm not sure how that will go since I now need a new place to stay for now. My friend said that I can be at his place as long as I need, but I really don't want to intrude on his space for too long. Marshall Cook replies, you need to lean on those that you can. Just show your eternal gratitude. Stay out of their way, clean up any mess you can, and if you have anything, offer to pay what you can. Expression Little says, not to speculate, but are you sure that you're your dad's bio kid? The way your mum said you were a mistake is troubling. OP says, as far as I know, I am. I have things that were passed down from him, so unless my mum found someone with surprisingly similar genetics, I think it's unlikely that I'm not his kid. Look, I get it. I understand why OP is still talking to their father. Yes, it is hard cutting people off, and I'm guessing he meant he already cut someone else off, as in he's completely cut his mother out of his life. But it's so sad to see that, like, he's still talking to dad, because has he not learnt that if mum says jump, he says how high? Maybe it is true that dad realizes the error of his ways and that he still wants a relationship with his son, but dad doesn't recognize that no matter what, his wife always will come first and he will never stand up to her. And that OP's dad will hurt OP in the future no matter what. It's just an inevitability. If OP's dad had any self-respect, he'd be sorting this out with his wife and coming to a reasonable middle ground with her, or he would stay away from OP. He would respect OP's space. Unfortunately, this is one of those boundary-keeping lessons that OP is going to have to learn the hard way to keep dad out of his life as well. When dad finally burns OP is going to be like, no more chances, I'm not letting this ever happen again. I've learnt my lesson, I now understand that I need to give these two no chances. That may happen soon, that may happen off in the future, who knows, but when and if that happens, OP, please come back with another update and tell us what you've learnt. I'd love to hear it. Am I the asshole for telling my fiancé him going for a late night walk with his coworker was not okay? So my fiancé and I have been partners for 3 years and are getting married in June. He works from home 2 to 3 days a week and goes in on the remaining days. He isn't close with any of his coworkers, since I've heard him often complain about how most of his coworkers are much older, except for this girl, who I think joined a few months back. I've heard him say her name a few times. It's mostly just harmless stuff, I guess about how she recommended a show for him or had him try out her lunch, but I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it's still a little bit annoying how much he values her input because it's a bit out of character. She's also the only coworker that I've heard him talk about random stuff with on his work calls. I'm not saying that any of this is wrong, but I just want to be honest about the stuff that's been on my mind because it's possible that I might be in the wrong here. He's been gone for a work trip to another branch with some other colleagues of his, including her. Last night, I texted him if he was done with dinner and was good to talk, and he said that he was just taking a stroll with her. I froze for like a good couple of seconds. I asked who else is there, and he said no one. They just decided to take a walk and check the area around their hotel out. I was not okay with this. I told him this was a crazy, disrespectful thing, and I called him. He declined my call and texted back, saying there is nowhere for him to talk to me in private at the moment, and that he will call me back. I called again, and he answered. I told him this was not okay at all. What was he doing taking a walk so late with her? He just responded breezily because I guess she was close and just said I'll call you back when I get back to the hotel. 15 minutes later, he called me and I kinda went off on him. I said he had no business being out this late alone with a woman as someone who's about to be my husband in less than 3 months. He said he was just bored. She was the only person he was cool with, and they just went for a walk. That my implication was hurtful to him. I calmed down, said I was sorry, but I was just not okay with it. So I'd appreciate it if he didn't do anything alone with her for my comfort. He said fine, and then said he was planning on going for a post-work lunch with her at one of these places they saw on their walk. I again asked who else, and he said just the two of them. I asked him to please invite someone else too, and he said they don't vibe with anyone else. We had a bit of a tense back and forth, and he relented, saying he would invite someone else too, but that it would ruin it, and the fact that I couldn't trust him was so disappointing. I tried to explain that it wasn't about trust, just my peace of mind, but I did a bad job of explaining that. Today, he responded to my good morning messages very curtly. I know he's angry with me. Was I the asshole? In the comments, he took a show recommendation from her and tried the food she had. The fact you think that that's him valuing her input so much says more about you than him. It's incredibly normal to walk around the area after dinner when you're at a work conference, and guess what? Sometimes that means you're with someone that is the opposite sex. It's not a big deal. You're the asshole. OP says, I said that it's out of character because it takes me ages to convince him to watch a show with me that I'm invested in. And I understand that I may have overreacted to the stroll, that me being uncomfortable about it may be a me problem, and that's what I wanted to know. Another commenter says, has he ever done anything suspicious? I don't think taking her recommendations or walking together at a work conference is enough to accuse him of cheating. OP says, I didn't mean to accuse him of cheating. I guess that's what I couldn't explain properly. I just had a bad feeling in my gut about the whole thing and decided to voice it. I guess I should have considered it a bit more before doing that, since it seems the comments do think that I overreacted. Another commenter says, not the asshole for telling him that you're not okay, even with what he's told you he's done with this lone co-worker, the only one in the whole team that he vibes with. Who knows what he hasn't told you because you wouldn't understand, etc. He's dropped her name multiple times already. Now he's refusing to engage with you on the phone because he's out enjoying a late-night stroll with her. He told you to wait, his fiancée, because he wasn't done having his nice walk with another woman. That woman, with whom he now has a lunch date planned. Just the two of them because, he just doesn't vibe with anyone else there. Trust your gut. Something ain't right here. Have an in-depth chat with him when he gets home. Present Duck says, it sounds to me like you have gotten bad vibes about their relationship prior to this and have not voiced them to him. The walk tipped you over the edge, and it seemed out of the blue for him because you haven't mentioned you were uncomfortable with the situation prior. This relationship could be totally innocent, but the fact that you feel that he values her opinion over yours, on the TV show, is concerning for a couple getting married in a few months. You guys need to have a real and calm conversation about all of this. You need to be able to explain to him that it's not him having a friend at work that bothers you, but that it feels like he is valuing her opinion over yours, and that to you is building an emotional intimacy that he isn't with you. He may not even be aware of this. If he dismisses your concerns after a calm discussion, I think you have your answer. I really just don't know how to assess a situation like this. I feel like I'd have to know these two people personally. Call it insecurity all you want, but if someone were to be explaining this situation beat for beat to me in person, being like, so yeah, my wife is away on a work trip with another man, and she doesn't really like anyone else at the company besides this one guy, and when they go on work trips, they like to go on late night strolls together, just the two of them, and she doesn't like me calling her because I come off as like jealous and whatnot when they're walking. And then after these trips, they like to have like dinner dates together as well. And she said that it's like weird if they ever have anyone else come to the dinner because it just ruins the vibe of the dinner. If they said that to me, I'd be like, they're fucking. Those two are having sex. He is, turning her every which way in the other. On the bed. She's cheating on you. That's the vibe I'm getting from you right now. That's my bias. And you're free to call me, an overreactor if you would like to say that. I'm on OP's side here. As jealous and as, overprotective as she may come off as, I'm on her side. I'm gonna say not the asshole. And now, on to the update. I had posted earlier in the day about me getting angry with my fiancé for his one-on-one plans with his coworker. The replies made me realize that I was in the wrong, so I called him and apologized for overreacting last night. He told me that it was all good. I asked if he'd already asked another coworker to join them for lunch, and he hadn't yet. So I told him that I was okay with them making plans after work, and he thanked me for it. Full disclosure, my ex was a control freak when it came to me. Wanting me to put the phone on speaker whenever I'd be talking to my friends or family, wanting updates every half hour, and I hated him so much at the end of it, and promised myself that I'd never be a controlling partner like that, but that it's possible I picked up some wrong norms from that period. My fiancé's coworker also put up some photos on Insta of their lunch together and their trip to a lake after, and I realized they're just coworkers who have similar interests. When I posted initially, it was just that in my mind, he would act out of character when it came to her, acting on show recommendations when he normally doesn't, replying to her texts fairly quickly when he normally takes a while, and I just thought that wasn't okay. But I also fully understand that my idea of right and wrong is a bit skewed due to my past, and I'm glad that I was made to realize it before I went further down the road and became the kind of partner my ex was to me. Thanks. In the comments, just because you may have overreacted to a walk doesn't mean the situation is kosher. It just means that you need to have a calm conversation with your fiancé about what makes you uncomfortable and why. If he knew that you were uncomfortable with lunch and grudgingly said that it was fine, why would he push it by also going to the lake after? I'm married, and that would bother me if my husband did that after I expressed that I was uncomfortable with the relationship. Another commenter says, I personally believe that he is playing with you when it comes to her. She is posting pictures of them on their lunch together and going to the lake. No wonder he didn't want anyone having lunch with them. Why would she post pictures of them together at lunch and at the lake if they're just co-workers? She, in my opinion, just threw it in your face. What were her comments when she posted them? Good luck to you. Your gut told you that it was weird because it is weird. Next time they have an after-work hang or happy hour, ask him to invite you. You should do a real-life vibe check. Katie says, I remember having an almost identical conversation with my ex-husband. He even got me to apologize for being suspicious, just like OP. Spoiler alert, they were fucking. My ex gaslit me for a year about his friend at work, that I was being crazy to even think there was something more. We were actually arguing about it when the sheriff knocked on our door during dinner to serve him with a paternity test for her child because apparently he had quit giving her cash since I was getting suspicious of his spending and she decided to file for child support. Yeah, so their daughter is 14 months younger than our son. Yeah, why did they convince her to apologize? Like, who goes on late-night strolls with coworkers and goes on about them, and then goes to a lake and posts pictures? I feel so bad for this woman because her abusive ex has messed with her self-confidence so much that she second-guessed herself and apologized. I'll take $500 for "This ain't over," even though it's marked as concluded. I would love to see another update to this situation, but we often see that the OP kind of embarrasses themselves sometimes when it comes to this, and they don't want to come back and share what happens. Though I would love to know what happens after this. Not judging OP at all in this situation. They're messed up from their abusive ex. That happens. Life happens. It's not their fault. I just hope that they read the discourse surrounding this situation that they have shared with the world, and they take proper steps to protect themselves and to protect their relationship. and they don't just go around apologizing for being suspicious of something that is suspicious. That is weird to me. I'm uncomfortable. So yeah, thank you for the story, OP, and I look forward to the next update if and when that does happen. Our next post is by a throwaway account, and it's titled, "Am I the asshole for telling my sister and her neighbor to stop convincing my husband into therapy, otherwise we'll leave?" I'm 27 female, and I've been married to my husband, 28 male, from the past 3 years. We grew up together and even went to the same school and college. We started dating when we turned 15. My husband and I moved temporarily into my parents' home. My mum is extremely sick, so she asked me to stay with her for a month or two, so I started living with her. My sister, 24 female, lives with my parents, and she's being a pain in my butt as well, along with their neighbor. This neighbor is very close to my parents and visits every day and spends time with my mum and sister, which I'm grateful of, but I don't appreciate how she's butting in my relationship. My husband is a bit rude or appears as one. He doesn't like people and minds his own business. He's kinda angry all the time, but he doesn't show it, and he doesn't like talking about it with others except me. He's the type of guy that if a family member needed his help, he'll be the first one to show up. My husband is quiet all the time and only talks to strangers if they initiate the conversation, otherwise he'll focus on his work. He's a workaholic, but the neighbor keeps trying to talk to him. At first, she would just initiate small talks, which my husband hates, but tolerated. But then she tried to convince him to go to therapy and said that her cousin is a therapist. My husband refused, but she kept bringing it up every day and tried to convince him. After a few days, when he had enough, he told her that he appreciates her concern, but she should stay out of his life as it's none of her concern. My husband told me that he's tired of this, and he's only staying with us because I and his mother-in-law asked him, and he doesn't want his mother-in-law to get involved, so either I stop this or he will go back home. So I told her to stop asking or convincing my husband into therapy or whatever, and she said that she's just trying to help me and my husband. Maybe my husband needs help because the way that he's acting is like an abuser, and asked me if I'm okay. Even my sister joined her and said that my husband's behavior is concerning and maybe I should do something about it. I got a bit angry after hearing them and told them that they should stay out of our lives, otherwise we will leave them right away and go back to our home. My husband's and my stance is that we are here to cheer my mother up, which is why we aren't involving her into this, but if they don't stop, we will leave. Both of them said they'll stop interfering in my marriage, and I was rude to them when they just wanted to help me. Am I the asshole? I get they were trying to help me, but who would get this pushy? I don't even know her properly. Forgive me for a long post and for my English. In the comments, Mermaid2 says, "Not the asshole. Tell the neighbor, and probably sister, something like this. I think you should go to therapy. You expressed your opinion and insist on pushing until you get your way. You don't respect our boundaries and are grossly overstepping. You're also adversely affecting our mother's well-being by attacking and alienating her family who wants to care for her. Get over yourself. Just because your cousin is a therapist doesn't mean you get to diagnose and harass other people." Hilda Hug says, "Hubby is probably happier in his own home." And OP says, "For real. I'm reading all the replies, but I feel like I'm the asshole for asking him to stay with me. He loves to spend time and take care of my mother as if she's his own, but I think my sister and her neighbor are just too damn much for him. He addresses my mum as his mum, and he specifically said that he didn't want to get her involved into this. But I think if my sister and her neighbor don't stop, I should send him back home. OP's not the asshole. Tell these busybodies to mind their own business and stop diagnosing others and telling anyone what they should do." I don't really think there's any winning in this situation because if you stay, mother-in-law gets the help that she has been requesting and needing, and she gets the support of you guys, and if you leave, she doesn't get that, but you guys get your peace of mind away from these crazy lunatics. As unfortunate as it is in this situation to leave her, I think leaving is the right thing to do, and I don't think you'd be an asshole for that. Those two are coming together to create a hostile environment that is very unwelcoming of you two, and I think it's only a matter of time before, your mum, OP, gets poisoned against you guys as well. And now, onto the update. So 3 days ago, after I made the post, I decided to send my husband back home. He was concerned about what would my mum think, and would it hurt her. I told him that I'll deal with my mum and my sister, and I'll join him. I stayed with my mum for an extra 2 days, tending and supporting her, but today I told her that I'm going back home, but I will visit her every other day, and if possible, every day. My mum quickly caught on, and she said first my husband left, and now I am also leaving, and she asked me if everything is okay. I told her that yes, everything is okay, and we're just leaving because of work-related things. I lied because we don't want to stress my mum because of sibling drama. When my sister came to know about this, she asked me if I'm leaving because of what she and their neighbor said. I was honest with her and told her yes, I can't stay in a place where my husband is not respected, so it's best if we leave. She said she respects my husband, but his behavior is not normal, and they were concerned about my safety and my husband might need therapy, the usual blah blah. I said I appreciated her concern, but constantly telling someone to go to therapy and implying that something is wrong with them is borderline harassment, and I should have put a stop to it instead of letting my husband tolerate this. She tried to stop me again and told me that I don't have to leave. I told her that I am leaving and am going back to my husband. I'll visit as often as possible, but I didn't expect that we would experience so much drama just for helping my mum. So now I'm back in my home with my husband, and I wish I could have stayed with my mum a bit longer, but my sister and her neighbor screwed it all up for us. Even if by any chance my husband is abusive, even then she has no right to harass my husband with therapy, as it's none of her business. I'm kind of angry, I'm not gonna lie. In the comments, I'm glad you got out of that situation, though it's sad this drama had to come between you and spending time with your mum. It's shocking some people will take such personal offense to others just existing in ways they don't understand and will cruelly judge anyone who is the least bit different from them. From your first post, it sounds like they just hated your husband for being an introvert. I agree with this. OP's last statement though, if her husband actually was abusive, I would hope her loved ones would intervene. And since he's not, it's not an issue, but a really weird stance to take that you wouldn't want him to be harassed if he was abusing you. OP says, no, I was just trying to say that my husband is not abusive. I started dating him at 15, and I've known him for even longer. So what right does my sister have to call him or implying that he is abusive? And their neighbor? I don't even know who she is. Judging someone based on their appearance is, I think, offensive, not just for my husband, but also to me and our marriage. Even if he was abusive, I wouldn't want someone else butting in constantly with unsolicited advice when nobody asked for it. Pull Specific says, I don't understand why they would jump to that conclusion. Your sister may know him better, but the neighbor knows nothing about him. Did they give any reason at all for why they felt this way? Or was this just a vibe they got from his appearance? OP says, it's just because of my husband's vibe and his appearance. I've known my husband for so long, and even my own mum has more faith in my husband than my idiotic sister. It's honestly really tiring seeing people who it's pretty obvious learned their therapy speak from TikTok trying to diagnose people. People need to learn to shut the hell up and stop trying to find issues with everything. Not everybody wants to talk to you, Susan, and just because they don't want to talk to you doesn't mean that they're abusive. Yeah, her bullshit that she's pulling on OP and the husband in this situation only led to more harm than good. OP's mother lost a critical daily support that she could have been benefiting from because these two couldn't shut the hell up and couldn't keep out of OP's business when OP and the husband were like, please leave me alone, I don't want to talk to you, this is not productive, I don't enjoy your presence. It's unfortunate, but I think constantly butting heads with those two would have just caused more chaos, and that's not good for anyone in this situation. Thank you for doing right by yourself and by your relationship, OP. I still think you've done the right thing here. And thank you for the story. Am I the asshole for freaking out on my boyfriend after he and his friends ate the cake that I made for my friend's birthday? I, 19 female, have been with my boyfriend, 22 male, and let's call him Jonah, for 5 years, and we have a 4-year-old, Anna. He's a good dad, don't get me wrong. He loves our kid, he plays with her, and helps out when it's his turn for the most part. But sometimes, it feels like he just does what he wants, and I'm the only one who actually has to be the responsible adult in this situation. Like, I don't care that he still hangs out with his friends. I do too when I have the time and want him to have fun or whatever, but when they come over, they get way too rowdy. They'll be drinking, blasting music, smoking, weed, not cigarettes, but still I don't want that around my kid, and just being loud. I've told him a million times that that's not the kind of energy that I want our daughter around, and he just acts like I'm being uptight. So when I know he's having a chill night with them, I usually take Anna to my parents' house so she doesn't have to deal with it. This time, I was actually excited to get out of the house for another reason. My best friend's birthday. She's been talking about this specific cake for months. A chocolate cheesecake stuffed sheet cake, which by the way, took me forever to get right, so we agreed that I'd make it for her birthday. I was so happy with how it turned out. Baking's one of the few little things I've got in between taking care of Anna and online school, so I get really happy and proud when I get to do it, whether it's just for fun or for someone else. I spent hours making this cake. It was perfect. Before I left for my parents' house, I made it very, very clear to my boyfriend, do not touch this cake, it is for my friend. He kinda laughed and went, yeah, okay, babe, like I was being weird for even saying it. I come back the next morning, go to grab the cake, and half of it is gone, like a whole side of it just destroyed. I did have the thought that maybe he would have cut himself a little piece, which would have still pissed me off, but whatever. But no, his friends got into it too. I asked him what the hell happened, and Jonah just shrugged and told me that they had the munchies, like that was some kind of valid excuse. I was so mad. I told him that I spent hours on it, that it was literally my best friend's birthday cake, and that I had specifically told him not to touch it. And he had the audacity to go, babe, it's just some cake. Why are you acting like this? Like, I don't know. Maybe because I put so much effort into it and now I have nothing to bring to my friend's party? He kept going on about how I was blowing shit out of proportion and how I could just make another one. As if I even had the time to do that and for it to be ready for the party. We kept arguing about it until he rolled his eyes at me and told me that if I was going to act like that over cake, then I could just stay with my parents. So yeah, he kicked me out. I barely had time to grab my things and our daughter because he was practically shooing me out the door. Now I'm back at my parents' house, feeling so stupid for even being surprised. And of course, now Jonah is texting me acting all confused like he never did anything. He's saying, I just needed space to cool down, and I didn't mean for you to actually leave. I felt pretty justified until my mum told me basically that I need to let things like this go and not overreact so much over mistakes. My mum is usually right when she tells me things like this, so yeah. In the comments, Odd Exit says, not the asshole, and you need to think about your future and your daughter's future as well. If you stay with him, then your daughter will grow up thinking that these things are normal, but they're not. Either start saving up money to go somewhere else, or give that little boy a choice. He's 22. He's gonna be an asshole for at least 10 to 15 more years. Does OP want to be 3 children deep with an asshole? Get out of my house. Oh, I don't know why you left, I just needed space. Grade AAA asshole. In my opinion, he's going to be an ass forever. OP is just enabling him. Not the asshole. Dump him. He does not respect you. You guys can co-parent and make it work that way. I wouldn't stay with him. He's inconsiderate and he's stupid. He's old enough to know not to eat something that you made for a friend, not the asshole. And you know he laughed with his friends about being told not to touch the cake. He's an immature dumbass. He may grow out of it one day, but that's not likely if his friend's munchies are more important than a present that you made for your friend. Back up to the post, there is an edit. I've left my mum's house and I'm staying at a friend's place with my daughter. I'm going to meet with a lawyer this Thursday for a free consultation. Thank you all so much for your help and making me see sense right now. Yeah, I just think in this situation, his actions don't fit the definition of a mistake. And I think a lot of people in situations when they are the perpetrator of said mistakes are just incorrectly using the word mistake. Like, what do we define it as? To me, I define a mistake as attempting to do the correct thing and then failing in the process of doing that. As an example, I was trying to put a McDonald's burger together when I was working in McDonald's. I put the incorrect ingredient into the burger. I intended to make a Big Mac. Instead, I made a Chicken Mac. That was a mistake. I fail to see what part of this man's actions fit the bill for him trying to do the right thing, for him trying to do the correct thing. Because I'm not seeing it. 2 and 2 equals 5 right here. The math ain't mathing. He was being a malicious asshole from the start. There was no attempt to do the right thing. There was no respect for his partner at all. And his response to being called out on his bullshit, instead of apologizing, he kicked her out. He kicked the mother of his child out. What in the ever-loving fuck is OP's mum on about, oh, you just need to forgive this? What terrible advice. What terrible parenting advice. No, seriously, OP's not overreacting to a mistake. Oh, you just need to let these things go. No, what the hell? Do you not care about your daughter? He is a terrible partner that does not care for his child or the mother of his child. Don't stay with someone like that. That's not a healthy dynamic to raise a child with. And I bet at the end of the day, he's still going to be like, oh, I actually didn't do anything wrong. It was literally just cake. Cake's not important. It was never about the cake. It was about showing respect for your partner, and you show that you don't care about her at all. In fact, you find it funny to demean her and hurt her. No. And now, onto the update. Hi again. It's been about 3 weeks since my original post, 21 days to be exact, and yeah, I've been counting. So yeah, a lot has happened since I posted. I didn't expect this many people to even read it, let alone support me the way that y'all did. First off, thank you. Seriously. It made me realize that I wasn't as crazy or overdramatic as some people kept trying to make me feel. Me and Anna are staying with my friend. She's been amazing, helping with Anna, giving me a place to crash, and making a part of her living room into a little area for my online school. I've been applying to part-time jobs, cafes, bakeries, whatever I can get, and one place actually seemed really interested, so fingers crossed. Sadly, the shit did get messier though. A week ago, I found out Jonah has been cheating on me. One of his friends, who honestly always seemed more decent than the rest, DM'd me out of nowhere and basically said that I deserved to know because Jonah was bragging about messing around with some girl that he met at a party weeks ago. I didn't even have to ask for proof. He sent me screenshots of their texts and a photo of them together. I was still trying to process that when Jonah showed up at my friend's place. I didn't tell him to come. I hadn't answered any of his texts, and I definitely didn't say he could just roll up. I was outside with Anna on the porch, letting her ride her scooter for a bit while I kept an eye on her. He pulled up, got out of the car, already yelling, accusing me of trying to take his daughter away from and trying to ruin his life. I told him to leave and I kept my voice calm because Anna was right there. But he kept pushing it, getting louder and more aggressive. I told him I knew about the cheating because his friend told me when he tried to go off about me not being loyal. It's always projection. It's always projection. Christ. That is when he lost it completely. He got in my face, called me a bunch of names I'm not repeating here, and then slapped me hard. See, another lesson from this, it's why you always record. Have a camera going when assholes like this start getting in your face and show up unwarranted. I fell back, but I managed to catch myself with my arms before I hit the steps. I didn't hit my head, but I landed weird and immediately felt the worst pain in my wrist, and then while I was still on the ground, he spat on me right in front of our daughter. Anna started crying and ran towards me. I grabbed her with my good arm and rushed inside. My friend was already calling the cops when I told her what happened. Jonah took off before they got there. I went to urgent care that night. My right wrist is fractured and in a brace now. The doctor said that it should heal okay, but it still hurts like hell and makes everything harder. School, job apps, parenting, you name it. I'm working with the lawyer that I mentioned before and filing for a protective order. I am pressing charges. I never thought that I'd be in this kind of situation, but I'm not letting it slide. Not when he did that in front of our kid. Anna hasn't been asking for him much, which honestly surprised me. She's been sticking close to me and my friend. She asks questions sometimes, but not about seeing him. More like, we're safe here, right? And yeah, it hurts my heart, but it makes me feel like I'm doing something right. My mum still keeps saying stuff like, he's still her father, and warning me not to make things worse despite me telling her what happened, but I'm done listening to that. I tried to keep the peace. I stayed quiet for so long, but not anymore. My dad's been trying to stay neutral between us, but he's been checking on me a lot and helping me with rides and stuff. I can tell that he's more on my side, even if he's trying not to make it a thing between him and my mum. Thanks again to everyone who helped me feel sane through this. I really needed that. I'll update again when something changes, hopefully for the better. In the comments, your mum is really something. He broke your wrist and she's still more on his side than yours. Your dad might be a little better, but staying out of it is kind of choosing sides. Wrist is very painful and it takes some time to heal. I couldn't do anything without it hurting. Good luck to you. Keep your distance from your mother. So your mom wants you to remain in a dangerous situation? Let that sink in. She's a bad mother. No one to take advice from. This guy broke your wrist, and your mum's blaming you, and your dad's on the fence about who's right? Guy's trash. Everyone should keep in mind how vulnerable OP is. She's 19 with a 4-year-old, so she gave birth at 15, and likely could have been pregnant at 14. She's still a kid herself, and no one is on her side except the friend letting her crash at her place. Despite all she's been through, her parents still won't protect her. OP's boyfriend is a real piece of shit. He doesn't respect her, cheats on her, and then physically abused and degraded her in front of their kid. She needs to run from him and wish her all the best in starting her life over. Sometimes I forget the special hate people can have for their children. Sounds to me like the mother is getting revenge for OP being a teen parent. You got knocked up at 15, you're his problem forever now, not mine. Yeah, when you put it into that perspective, that does make a lot of sense. And, thank you, Dad, for at least being on my side a little bit, but could you make it more vocal, please? Could you actually stand up to your goddamn brain-broken wife? My mother, who is making life a living hell for me, saying that I'm the problem here, not the one that broke my wrist and spat on me? I judge him heavily for fence-sitting in this situation. I judge her for coming down so hard on OP, and that would be a betrayal that I don't think I could forgive ever. That's probably a grudge I'd take to my grave if I had a mother like that, demeaning me and saying that I deserved it, basically. That ex needs to go to jail, and that mum needs to be permanently cut off from OP and shamed to the rest of the family, if they'll even side with OP, because I bet the well has been well and truly poisoned by propaganda from that mum being like, I hate my teen pregnancy daughter. I'm glad that she got assaulted by her boyfriend. No one should feel sorry for her, yada yada. Those are the vibes that I'm getting from this woman. It would take me a miracle to ever have a neutral view of her again after dealing with something like this. That's just me though. I feel like OP should have a lot of hatred in her heart for those not supporting her in a time of crisis like this. But hey, it appears as though there is a lot of parents that hate their kids for some reason. My heart breaks for OP. Genuinely breaks for OP in this instance. I hope things get better for her in the future and she doesn't have to deal with people like this anymore. But it's not really looking likely right now, and I'm so sorry for that, OP. Thank you for this story. Again, I hope all goes well. Our next post is by a deleted account, and it's titled, "Am I a jerk for not letting my husband go to a bachelor party trip?" 4 years ago, when I was 10 weeks pregnant with our daughter, I got a call from my mum that my dad had a heart attack. She was crying. I told my husband that I had to go back home to Ystad in Sweden, so I went back home with the first flight from Toronto, where we live. I was there for 4 months until my dad was better. I was in touch with my husband a lot, mostly texting. Some nights I was too tired that I wasn't replying fast, and he felt neglected. When I came back, my husband was acting weird. I saw a woman coming to our house, and I confronted him. He admitted that one night he got lonely and felt rejected by me, so he messaged his ex on Instagram. She ended up coming over, and they hooked up. He said that he regretted it later, so he cut all contact. He apologized, and I was heartbroken. I also didn't want my parents to know because they had enough stress in their lives already. I was a zombie. I started writing down all my feelings, and then talked to him about how he hurt me, and how I was about to have a baby, and I didn't know what to do. He begged me to forgive him and to give him a second chance. I decided to do it. He's been great so far. I'm pregnant with baby number 2. Here's the thing. His best friend is getting married. He is in the bridal party. He's invited to go on a week trip to Thailand. I feel anxious about him cheating again. He says he's proven himself and feels insulted that I still don't trust him. Am I a controlling jerk for not feeling comfortable about this? In the comments, you are definitely not in the wrong for the way you feel. It's natural to feel that history could repeat itself again. The only thing that I will say is you decided to have another child together, so it feels a bit like you haven't really forgiven him and the trust is still not there. But for your husband, in his mind, you forgave him, you stayed, and you have another child, and you said he's been great, so he may feel confused by this. In my opinion, if you choose to forgive someone for cheating and stay, you can't hold the cheating over them, but that's just my opinion. Congratulations on your second baby. OP replies, "Well, that's his argument. Have you forgiven me? Have I not proven myself? Then why are you controlling me? What has he actually done to build up your trust? Concrete examples that are not examples of what he hasn't done." OP says, "He let me check his phone randomly, he shares his location with me if I ask, he communicates with me constantly, and if he feels rejected or neglected, he tells me." You are aware why they picked Thailand, right? Sex workers are all over. All of his friends will cheat. OP says, he said the groom found a deal. It's a beautiful country with cheap food and lots of touristy stuff. Screw that. But that's just my humble opinion. Is this a norm in your relationship, where you each take extended vacations with friends? If so, he may have some standing. Not that I would agree. If not, why would you start now? Especially for that long, for that occasion, and to a country that is known for sexcapades. And OP says, no, not normal at all. So why is this even a discussion? If that's not how your relationship operates typically, then there's no reason he should expect you to be cool with him going, even if he hadn't cheated on you during your marriage. OP says, because he thinks I'm being unfair. All other wives and girlfriends are okay with it, and I should let him go if I trust him. He thinks he needs a fun boys' trip before the baby comes. Someone else says, honestly, I wouldn't want my partner to leave me alone for a week with a toddler while pregnant. I don't know how far along you are or what kind of support network you have, but so much can go wrong with pregnancy, and toddlers are hard. OP says, I kind of feel uncomfortable. No one knows about his cheating. He begged me not to tell anyone, and I'm afraid that if I ask, I'll look like a controlling spouse. I have no one except his mum here for support. She will be watching our toddler when I give birth, and my anxiety is just so high these days. OP adds, honestly, I thought about leaving many times, but he had long talks with me and convinced me that we can get through this. Things have been good since then, but now my anxiety is back and I'm so nervous. Yes, he did do an STD test. It also took me a very long time to let him back in our bedroom or even kiss me. What the hell is with these bachelor trips? OP says, it's not a thing in our culture, so it's very odd to me, to be honest. Back up to the post, there's an update. So I decided to message the bride privately and ask her if we could meet. I would like to see what the whole Thailand plan is about. I'll post a full update later. I mean, I am always going to be of the belief that if they've cheated at all, it's time to call the relationship off, cut ties, and start again with someone else. I do think that cheating is a foundational deal breaker and that you can't rebuild that trust because look at this situation. OP literally can't trust him to go to Thailand for a week because he will cheat again. He's already cheated. As much as it's quote-unquote unfair to hold the cheating over their head, the cheating is being held over your head, OP. Now you're being forced to compromise your own beliefs and, your instincts on this for his own benefit. And what do you get out of it? What benefits are there to continuing this charade? Let's be real. I don't think that you're an asshole for not letting him go on that bachelor party trip to Thailand. That's part of the deal that he accepted when you forgave him for the cheating. You can't have your cake and eat it too in this situation. If you're not okay with it, you're not okay with it. He doesn't get to go on that trip, and he also doesn't get to complain about it. I think that's fair enough, given that you have agreed to have another child with him and not tell anyone else about the cheating. He gets so much out of this, and you get anxiety. That seems to be what the trade-off is here. No, I don't think you're an asshole. And now, onto the update. I talked to the bride and groom. The bachelor party was planned by the best man, the single one, and the groom told me not to talk to the best man because the itinerary is supposed to be a surprise to the groom so that he has no clue. I messaged the best man and asked if I can call him. He said my husband insisted on Thailand, and originally it was supposed to be Japan. Oh Christ, I'd break up with him just for that. I literally begged him to tell me the truth because I'm pregnant and have a toddler. He confessed that my husband has been talking, sending videos and pictures to a lady over there, and he plans to meet her. I asked how long this has been going on, and he said on and off for a while. He apologized and said he'll talk to the groom about it. I told him, no, please don't talk to anyone because it doesn't make any difference. I'm planning to talk to a lawyer to start the divorce process. I feel so defeated and stupid. I wonder if he's going to blame me again for this. In the comments, I'm mortified by that news. I'm so sorry that you're having to endure hearing that it was his idea. I hope his junk falls off. So the best man knew about the planned affair and went along with it? What an asshole. I thought so too. The best man must have known that the trash was married, yet he was okay with planning a trip for the trash to cheat? A bachelor trip for his best friend, I'm assuming, at that. How gross. Diverting someone else's bachelor party to an entirely different country so your dirtbag friend can cheat on his pregnant wife is effing insane. OP's husband showed his true colors. When she was nursing her father, he couldn't keep it in his pants long enough to visit her or wait. I'm glad she's standing up for herself and her children. Coming back from infidelity once is damn hard, even with couples counseling and a full commitment from the cheating partner. He clearly wanted fun over the actual work of being a husband and a parent. I could go on. I could say so much, but he just pisses me off. His existence pisses me off, and the fact that she was willing to forgive him after he said that she is at fault because she left for 4 months to look after her father, who she thought was going to die. How is that her fault? That is so unfair. These cheating scumbags will find any justification to make it so that they are perpetually the victim here. And I bet if we ever get another update from OP, he's gonna continue to be the victim, yeah. He had to divert the trip to Thailand, and everyone else had to go along with it because he's the victim here. I'm just so sick of these people, man. I don't know why she forgave him. Can we please start convincing people that get cheated on to just cut ties ASAP? Do not fall for the sunk cost fallacy. It's never worth it. It genuinely is never worth it. Thank you for the story, OP. I'm sorry that you had to endure that, but I hope things get better for you in the future, and for your 2 kids. I hope they stay away from that man. Unexposed is by a deleted account, and it's titled, Me, 27 female, in a relationship with 36 male for 8 years, just found out that he's been living an entirely separate life with a fiancé. I'm gonna start this out now with the preamble that I'm feeling like an absolute piece of trash right now. Completely used, raw, and absolutely shell-shocked. Using all fake names, obviously. I've never posted here, so I don't know if that's implied. I met Ray back when I was 18 years old. He was in a band that I absolutely loved and grew up with. I had even had a crush on him for so long before we met. You can imagine how excited I was to be able to work with him. I had a small part in working on one of his music videos way back when, interning at the production firm that he had hired with his band. We soon started dating after that, and were pretty inseparable. I would always hang out with him at the studio and spend time with Ray in his place or mine, just walking around stoned, happy, and in love. He basically coached me through both my undergraduate and MFA. 3 years ago, I moved in with Ray, and that has been the same situation since. I've recently been freelance writing for a couple of news publications overseas, working on selling some screenplays to some studios, and it's been such a strain on me lately. But Ray has been so good to me lately. He's been a total sweetheart. Ray is constantly on tour, working with friends and partners in California. We live in the Northeast. I'm used to him not being at home or not having a necessarily consistent schedule. I don't really either. I'm sometimes in California myself with some production work that I do with my old cinematographer partner. The arrangement was always nice, and it felt really good to be with someone who understood how hard it is to manage a life on a creative schedule. Honestly, I figured once Ray got back from his business trip, he was going to propose to me. I know that's stupid to just assume that, but after how well things have been going with us, I was really just getting this overwhelming feeling of love and hope that I was just so excited about. However, the other day, a week ago at this point, I was browsing Ray's Instagram looking for a specific picture, and I noticed the tagged pictures tab on the top of the page. I'm kind of illiterate at social media stuff. At this point, Ray was in California overseeing some stuff with his new merch or whatever. I felt myself missing him a lot, so I thought seeing some funny, candid pictures of him would cheer me up and remind me of how cute he is. So, I click on the tab and scroll down a little bit, and I see a picture of this cute blonde woman, Katie, kissing his cheek. I didn't think anything of it at first. He's a relatively popular musician, not like getting on any charts anywhere, but like a lot of people in a specific scene at least know of him, so thought that it was just another fan. But when I scrolled down more, I see more and more pictures of this woman and him. I click on the picture for who she's tagged as, I click her profile, and I'm blocked? Immediately, I got a bad gut feeling. I ended up logging out of my account and into my company's. I know, scummy, but now it seems worth it. I click on her profile and I almost throw up. Basically, besides a couple of pictures of food, scenery, or shopping haul shots, it's just all pictures of either her and Ray or just Ray. I do some more digging and I see that her and Ray are effing engaged. People are congratulating them. There's a pic of her holding up a hand with a ring up, and you can see Ray in the background smiling. I want to effing die right now. It's been 3 days since Ray has gotten back from the trip, and I don't even know what to say. He knows that I'm upset about something, I think. He wanted to have sex when he finally got home. We always have a really fun romp once he comes back, but the thought of it made me effing sick. I don't know how to talk to him about this. I know I'm just postponing something by doing this, but I honestly have no effing clue how to approach my future. I honestly still love him so much, and the thought of being without him right now makes my head want to explode. I don't even care that he was with someone else if he would just stop doing it and apologize. I understand that humans are not inherently monogamous, and hell, I've thought about other people and even kissed someone one time during an LSD trip a couple of years ago, and I never told him about that either, but this seems really unacceptable, and I feel really disrespected. How could he just have this entire secret life and just hide it for so many years? As far back in her timeline I scrolled, 5 years, they had clearly been dating. I wonder if they've been together the entire time me and Ray were dating. I know this is so long and rambly, but I just needed help deciding where I go from here. We live together, and I don't really have housing in the area right now that would be easy for me to just go to, you know? Should I just pretend that I don't know anything until I can find another place, and then just unload then? Should I try to talk to him now and see what's going on? In the comments, ProngsLover77 says, he didn't just cheat on you with some random chick, he met someone, started a relationship with them for years, and got engaged. You're the side chick. He isn't the love of your life, he's an asshole. Have some self-respect and get effing angry. He lied to you every day for years, over and over and over again. He's all you've ever known, so I know it's scary, but you deserve so much better. You're young and can get over all of this. Leave him. Do you think it's within OP's role to tell the other girl? It's messed up from her end too. Or the problem is, how come OP is blocked from seeing the other woman's page? Why? Was that woman told something about OP? How can the answer to these questions influence that woman's reaction if OP decides to contact her? The situation is messed up on so many levels, it's just surreal. I think you do just contact her, tell her that he's been cheating this whole time, give her all of the proof, all of the receipts, and just burn his life down from this one. I know that it's such a betrayal, but I don't think you should let him get away with this one, OP. He doesn't deserve it. He doesn't deserve his cake and eating it too. Everyone will tell you to do this. I think it's the right thing to do. And now, onto the update. Clearly, it's been a wild time since this post for me. I just want to thank everyone for reaching out to me in the comments, messages, and even some off-Reddit contact that I still have with some users. You are all gems and offered me tough advice in a time that I never thought that I would listen. I realize now that I was completely manipulated by Ray for many years. I thought our relationship was common for two creative professionals, but it wasn't. After I made that post, Ray was needed out in California again. It was the perfect opportunity for me to pack up all of my shit and leave. Once I collected my thoughts, I reached out to my longtime friend John, actually my age, now 30, who lived in Portland at the time. He flew out to the East Coast city that I used to live in with fancy maple syrup, whiskey, and my favorite coffee. I'll always remember this little detail. John helped me pack up everything, arranged transportation for me to fly back with him and my cat, to live in Oregon with him, and brought me to the coast to bury a bunch of memories. Photos, film reels, memory cards, etc. It was extremely cathartic. I was sober, feeling every bit of pain in that moment, but realizing it needed to happen. Once in Portland, Ray obviously came back to our former apartment and realized that I was gone. Per John's idea, the only thing that I left on the kitchen counter was my set of keys and a printed out picture of Kat with the engagement ring. I had blocked his number, but Ray continuously tried to contact me. First in fake consideration for my safety, then getting progressively angrier with me. He did not apologize a single time. He just got more threatening and said he was going to hire a private investigator to find me. John ended up hiring a lawyer for me to walk me through my legal options and spoke to the police about a restraining order, which we did file. It appears the order worked, considering Ray has not reached out to me since he was notified. I know some of you probably wanted me to tell Kat, and I'll be honest, I never did. I'm sure she eventually found out, or maybe she didn't. I have no idea what happened with them, and I have no urge to. You were all correct. I had known some of his friends, but only professionally from working with them. He rarely took me out to social events, but I did know his family though. They were always pleasantly nice to me, but they lived so far away geographically that I only saw them for very special occasions. I don't know if they knew, but I don't want to hurt myself thinking about the disrespect and secrecy of everyone. I was lied to not only by Ray, but by a group of people who I thought respected me. I found a therapist who helped me process a great deal of these emotions, but I'm certainly not completely healed. I finally feel able to talk about this with all of you 1.5 years later. It simultaneously feels like it happened just yesterday and a million years ago. Some of it feels like an extended nightmare. All I know is that I'm awake now. Unfortunately, I did end up getting tested and diagnosed with HPV, which has since been treated, but I definitely got it from Ray. I was arrested that night for disorderly conduct as well because I got belligerently drunk in anger. I was sentenced to anger management classes and Alcohol Anonymous meetings. I was certainly not a full-blown alcoholic, but I realized I was numbing my pain with what I thought was recreational drinking. I have been sober for a year now, and I just got my year chip last week. Overall, this is a happy ending for me, I promise. I started dating John at the beginning of this year. I now understand what being in an actual loving relationship feels like. John is completely honest with me about everything, even the smallest things. He respects me and understands my past. I can't begin to verbalize how thankful I am for him and how much I appreciate him being in my life. He is my rock and has been there for me since my healing process began. For the record, I'm the one who initiated the romantic contact. We slept in separate rooms, had sex with other people, gave each other romantic advice, but at the beginning of the year, we were both single at the time. He was making breakfast in the kitchen before he went off to teach. In that moment, I just realized he was always my what-if guy, since knowing him in college. I wanted him, and I truly loved him. I asked if I could kiss him, just overcome with emotion and a lost filter. He thought I was joking at first and barely looked away from his eggs, but then he was like, "Wait, really?" I said yes and gave him a huge hug, and then he kissed me. I felt this warmth I never experienced with Ray, even at our best. It felt like something finally clicked. Since then, John and I have been so happy, and now I know what it's like to be with your best friend, especially someone who knows you as well as he knows me. I couldn't be happier, and for the first time, I feel valuable. I went back to school part-time to learn some coding, and I stuck with it. Now my current job is paying me to continue my schooling, and I've been doing some web design work for them as well. My boss is the most amazing woman that I've ever met, and is totally supportive. Guys, I feel whole. I really do. But even more importantly, I feel ready to deal with anything in my future, good or bad. I've grown up in a big way, and I feel like I'm not afraid of entering my 30s. I still have a way to go dealing with an eating disorder, but I've even gained some weight. I'm proud of myself, and I'm so thankful to everyone who has helped me at all. I'm not alone anymore. Thank you for reading. My daughter's dance teacher invited her to a sleepover at her house. Would I be the asshole for formally complaining? My daughter is 7. She's been taking ballet lessons since she was 4, but has only been enrolled in this particular dance school for about a year. There are only 6 other girls in her class, all around her age, and she has 2 lessons a week. Anyway, earlier this week, my daughter came home with an invitation from her teacher. She's inviting the girls, all 7 of them, to spend the night at her house on the last weekend of April. According to my daughter, the teacher told the girls that it's a slumber party. The pitch apparently included McDonald's, movies, and games. I've spoken to the other mums, and they're all confirmed that their daughters got the same invitations. None of us have been notified by the school, so I have to assume the teacher is planning this on her own. She has not spoken to any of us about this directly, only to our daughters. Some of the girls seem to be excited, but my daughter is still anxious about spending the night away from us, so she wouldn't be going even if I was okay with this. which I'm not. I have never spoken to this teacher about anything besides my child, nor do I know anything about her personal life or home. I've been thinking of complaining to the dance school about this because I've never heard of teachers doing this before and I'm a little bit freaked out. But at least 2 of the other mums don't seem to have a problem with it, and I can't help but wonder whether I'm overreacting. Is this normal? Honestly, I just need some advice here. In the comments, Electric Farm 4633 says, "My daughter's dance teacher would invite students to a sleepover in the dance studio with other teachers. That's how they do it. That's how my studio was too. We all brought air mattresses and slept at the studio." Maybe she used to do that as a student, but this dance studio isn't set up for it, so she's trying to recreate it without thinking. This would make a lot of sense actually. I have a 6 turning 7-year-old who is having a faux sleepover for her birthday party. 5 to 8 pizza and a movie, yada yada. Since I don't know all the mums well, I also offered for them to stay if they'll be more comfortable. I feel like sleepovers are reserved for cousins, family, or super close friends these days at this age. Rose Golden Dew says, "Teachers shouldn't be inviting students to sleepovers at their homes without formal school involvement or parental communication. This is what you should do. Talk to the school directly, voice your concern, and ask for clear policies around boundaries and off-hours contact." OP says, "Honestly, I think I'd still be bothered if she had communicated with us, but the fact that she spoke directly to the girls before anything else does make things worse." Someone else replies, "That's where it's weirding me out. Like, get the girls all excited with fun promises first before telling the parents and asking if it was all right seems off." That's the #1 red flag. I'm a teacher. I hear teachers make dumb suggestions all the time with good intent. For example, just this morning a teacher asked, "Why can't I have them drive themselves to the field trip?" Her students are freshmen and the field trip is to the other end of the country. This is sort of malicious sounding. Dumb ideas like this get pitched in team meetings, not to kids. Either incompetence or malice here. I'm curious how old this teacher is. Most people with life experience would be aware that this is inappropriate, regardless of the intention. It could be that she genuinely wants to go above and beyond for her students and give them a treat. I think it should be reported, not to get her in trouble, but as a learning experience. Agreed. If the teacher doesn't have her own kids, I could totally see her thinking of it as a fun activity with a trusted adult and aunt type, without thinking through the consequences. This could be a good learning moment for her if approached well by OP and the school. When it comes to your children and everyone else's children, especially with ages like this, I think there's a zero tolerance policy. We can't give the benefit of the doubt, whether it's ignorance or coming from a place of malice. It's just not worth the risk. And if your gut is off about these things, you need to listen and trust your gut every time. Do we know this woman? Can we trust this woman? Who the hell does she think she is? Being like, "Oh, little 6 to 7-year-old girls, let's all plan a sleepover and don't tell the parents, don't tell the dance school, let's keep this between us." That's really weird. That's incredibly weird. I'd be going straight to the dance school and being like, who the hell does she think she is? Does she not hear herself? Does she not see what she's doing? This seems like a groomer in the making. Are you guys cool with having a dance teacher like this in your school? What's wrong with her? I know it doesn't throw out immediate groomer vibes, and it's not exactly the situation, but it feels like it. It really does feel like it. I'd rather be safe than sorry in this situation, and I don't blame you for putting in a formal complaint. This is not normal at all. And now, on to the update. Thank you all for your input. A lot has happened, but I'll try to keep this short. I won't waste time and try to convince anyone to like me. If you've already decided that I'm a true crime-obsessed, neurotic helicopter parent Karen with diaper energy and social anxiety issues, I don't think there's much I can say that will change your mind. And yes, I've heard of lock-ins. My son had one with his swim team last year. He's a bit older, it happened at the pool, guardians were informed before the children were, and one of the other parents chaperoned. It's not the same thing as an unofficial sleepover at a teacher's house. All of that said, I never intended to risk this woman's job. I was just worried. So I spoke to my husband, and we decided to take your advice and speak to my daughter's teacher first. He spoke to her while picking up our daughter last week. He said the conversation went fine, but he was bothered by her reaction when he said our daughter wouldn't attend. He told the teacher that our kid was anxious, but she replied that the sleepover would be a great opportunity for her to come out of her shell, and that we should try to encourage our daughter to come. During the conversation, my husband also found out the following. She came up with a sleepover idea because she wanted to bond with the girls and figured that it would be fun. She didn't ask for another parent to act as a chaperone because her husband had offered to help her. This is the first time she ever mentioned his existence. When asked about what she'd do in case of emergency, she just stated that she lived about 10 minutes away from a hospital. As if that makes it any better. She didn't ask for the parents' contact information because she didn't think of it. Oh, of course. After he told me all of this, I decided to email the dance school. I wrote that the teacher was planning a sleepover, about which the parents had not received a lot of information. 2 days later, we all got an email from the teacher stating she was cancelling the sleepover due to a complaint from the dance school. She also apologized for not being more transparent with us. Some of the other mums are planning another sleepover at one of their houses so that the girls won't be upset. I'm not sure when or where it will happen yet, but I'm trying to keep up to date. Ultimately, even though I still don't know what the sleepover would have been like, I don't regret this. When it comes to my children, I'd rather be paranoid and wrong than regretful and right. If I complained and it turned out to be a completely innocent event, I'd feel embarrassed, even after apologizing, but it might be something that I could laugh about someday. If I let my daughter go and something happened to her, or any of the other girls, I would never forgive myself. I will reply to comments for the next day or so, but I won't update again. Thank you all. In the comments, so she didn't bother getting the parents' contact information to reach out and assumed no one would take issue with her husband helping her watch over the children instead of another parent? It may be innocent, but there were so many potential red flags with the sleepover. You did nothing wrong as you spoke to the teacher before you contacted the school. I think the end result, her cancelling and being warned not to plan any events like this again, was the correct result. The children still get their sleepover too, not the asshole. Absolutely wild that someone wouldn't see an issue with making plans directly with 6 to 7-year-olds without speaking to their parents. You absolutely did the right thing. I'm a mum, grandma, and retired teacher. And to say that I've seen some things is an understatement. School, little league, gymnastics. We learned very quickly that not every coach, teacher, parent is trustworthy. You have one job, and that is keeping your kids safe to the best of your ability. Listen to your gut every time. This isn't even necessarily a trust thing. Even with the best of intentions, the teacher had not really thought through the details, and it could have gone awry in a bad way. The teacher seemed delusional. Oh, I live 10 minutes from the hospital. Cool? That doesn't do much. I think it was the right call. I personally believe the teacher had nothing but good intentions, but it's a learning lesson to be as transparent with the parents in school as possible if you want to plan something like this. Edit. Guys, I appreciate the comments and upvotes, but you don't need to spam "the road to hell is paved with good intentions" every few minutes. OP replies, I agree that's a possibility, but this also felt really unprofessional. I still don't understand why she didn't email us about the sleepover before talking to the kids about it, especially when that would have been much easier. At no point did she speak to us about this. She didn't ask anyone for contact information or allergies, and didn't mention anyone else would be there with her. Yeah, and that's why I say don't take your chances with these things. Immediately clamp down on that shit. This is super suspect. This is super weird. The more that she talked about this situation, and the more details that came to light, the worse it got personally. None of that was redeeming. None of that was like, oh, that's perfectly understandable. You're someone that I can trust to have a loan at your house with my child and no other parent supervising it. Yeah, that's a very cool thing to do. I'm curious about this question in the comments, guys. If you had a dance teacher like this that suddenly just pulled this out of nowhere, would you keep sending your kid to that dance school after this, or would you move dance schools? Is this situation a deal breaker for your daughter's or son's attendance to a dance school like this? I'm curious. Our next post is by a throwaway account, and it's titled, "My wife, 26 female, wants to divorce me, 28 male. How can I make her stay? My wife today served me divorce papers. I don't know why. I thought we were good again. My wife and I had been together for almost 10 years, married for 3, and over 2 years ago, we had our baby boy, but sadly, we lost him almost a year ago. Since our baby boy passed away, she hasn't been the same. She cried herself to sleep, and until some time back, she got too dependent on sleeping pills. Our life had been a mess, but I thought that we had each other. Since we lost our baby, she hasn't come back to work. Even if she's the brightest and prettiest OT that I know, I miss seeing her with her colorful scrubs and helping her do some weird thing for her clients, instead of being a sack of potatoes in the bed. I've tried everything. I even went through her work papers to see if I could do something that's there to make her leave the bed. I thought that I had it, but she started to go out with some old ladies to do gardening. I thought we were getting better. I was even making her a little wall thing so that she can have a little garden in our apartment, but after 3 weeks of her gardening, she just served me divorce papers. She's not asking for anything. She doesn't even want the cats. It's like she wants to leave as quickly as possible, and I don't know where she got the time to go to a lawyer to get the papers. I can't let her go. I love her so much. She's been my first everything, and I'm desperate looking for a way to keep her with me." In the comments, Deep Manor 4111 says, "OP, I read this and alarm bells immediately started going off in my head. I don't want to scare you, but this sounds eerily similar to a situation that my friend went through, down to the small details like leaving everything behind, including pets. Unfortunately, her journey ended with her taking her own life. Does your wife have any close friends or family members that she speaks to on a regular basis? I would check in with them and see if they've noticed any changes in her behavior. All of you should keep a close eye on her. Also, if she's not already getting it, your wife definitely should consider grief counseling. It sounds like she's hurting really badly over the loss of your child. I know you are concerned about the status of your relationship, but I think you need to be more concerned with your wife's mental health right now." Pleasant Ad replies, "I agree. What has your wife told you about her plans moving forward? I think this is very concerning. Have you ever asked her if she's had thoughts of self-harm? Is she on any meds?" OP says, "I asked her when she gave me the papers. She said she didn't know where she was going. And about the self-harm, I never had directly asked about it. But when our baby just passed, she asked me to come over or take out all the mirrors in the house." Someone else replies, "The fact that she doesn't know where she will go is very concerning. She may want to be with your baby boy. This is 1000% an emergency. Involve medical help ASAP." Wise Investigator says, "You can ask to see a therapist or mediate with her. It probably won't work, but it is an option. She's deeply traumatized. She should have been in therapy for a while now, and you never know how that's going to go. But the true answer is probably nothing." OP says, "She's in therapy, but she hasn't stuck to one for too long. She has changed from therapist 3 times already, and she says that she would not talk with anyone who doesn't even try to get a connection with her." Quickdraw replies, "That's somewhat normal. Sometimes you just don't click with someone, and then you're supposed to tell them all of your darker thoughts. It doesn't work like that for the most part." I have nothing much to add personally to this one, OP, besides continue to look through all the comments and take the best advice that you can from the community in order to get her the help that she so desperately needs right now. This doesn't even sound like a cry for help. This sounds like, I'm checking out, I just want to tie up all the loose ends before I leave. If I were in your shoes, I would be absolutely freaked out right now. I would be doing everything I can to get as much help for her as possible in a way that will break through to her. I'm sorry that you're having to deal with this. And now, on to the update. Thanks for the check of reality from the last post. I feel like such a bad husband while writing this because Like everyone noticed except me, my wife wanted to take her life. I feel like I failed her on so many levels. Like everyone said, I asked up front. I woke up early and I made her favorite breakfast to have the conversation. In the middle of the breakfast, I asked her, and she just broke down crying and whining. She just screamed about her not wanting to pass for grieving someone again and losing all that she loved. That all the women she knew in her gardening stuff have lost so many people, their partners, their parents, their friends, and she couldn't see herself passing from all of that over and over for the rest of her life, that she didn't like our apartment anymore, that even the cats reminded her of our baby boy, and that she just couldn't do it. I felt so pathetic after that, because I thought that after a year, those thoughts would go away. Or at least wouldn't affect her so much, but it does. After that, I held her for a while and I cried with her. She even told me that when she looks at the cats, she just can remember how they used to take naps with our baby, and that broke me on so many levels. On Sundays, my in-laws get together for a family lunch, so I talked to them. We had a kind of intervention with my wife. I would accept the fact that if she wants to get a divorce, I would give her some space, but it would be progressive. I will spend time with her if she wants, and just like when we lost our baby boy, she would be sleeping at her parents' house so that we wouldn't be around all that reminds her of our baby. Today in the early morning, I took all of my days off, so I'll be off for this week. She went for an emergency therapy session, and the therapist recommended leaving my wife in a 24-hour guard, but my wife started to have a horrible breakdown, so my mother-in-law, the therapist, and I decided that my wife would have to stay with intensive therapy and under strict vigilance until she agrees to internalize or get better. And in the afternoon, when she was more calm, asked me to buy her a bunch of chocolate eggs, bags, and things to decorate. So she started to make a bunch of bags with Easter eggs with beautiful decorations, and she told me who she planned to give them to. So now I'm contacting all of her friends that work with the public so she can be allowed to give those eggs to someone. Just 2 of her friends have answered, so she would give those to children and older people. I hope she would have a good time. I just came from leaving her at her parents' house, and I've never felt so broken since we've lost our baby boy. And her cats have been missing her too, because they never liked me that much, but they've been scratching their heads against my legs since I came back. I guess this will be our new normal. Tomorrow, after or before the eggs, I will go and find someone that the therapist recommended that could be with her for the day to keep an eye on her while my mother-in-law and I do housework or have to sleep to be able to manage her if she has another breakdown. Thanks again everyone for the wake-up call. I cannot even put into words how grateful I am for making me give my wife the help that she needed. In the comments, Sugared Zebra says, "Sometimes a person is too close to the situation to see the big picture. Don't be too hard on yourself for not seeing the dire crisis that your wife is in. Objective people gave you a different perspective. You see it now, and you've acted. She's getting the help that she needs. You deserve credit for that. I hope she's able to turn the corner on her grief. It will never go away, but perhaps she's on the road to healing. I wish you both the best." OP replies, "Thanks. I hope that she heals too, and I know she will. She's strong." La Lydia asks, "Can you move? I bet the apartment is very triggering as well. She said she hates it. Keep supporting her and keep her talking." I mean, maybe, but I'd wait to make big changes until she's been in therapy for a bit. A lot of the things that were most upsetting when I was suicidal were things that I valued after I'd been in mental health care a while. So if they move and get rid of the cats, she might actually find it upsetting and lonely once she is better. And OP replies, "I'm planning to look for a new place, but the apartment is ours, and we would have to rent it or sell it, and the market is not good anymore. Also, I have to look after her cats too. When we moved to the apartment, they got sick from the sudden change. I don't know how my wife would take it if something happened to them, and I don't want to risk my wife's health even more." And that's fair enough. You do have to be extremely careful in these situations because you very much do risk triggering something happening with her again. And I say, once again, take the advice of the comments, Take the advice of the professionals that are guiding you through this journey and just do exactly as they tell you. I don't think there is any particularly right or wrong move that you can do here. It seems like you have a very good head on your shoulders. You don't want to risk your wife's health even more. I support that, and I support you going forward. I wish you all the best, OP. This sounds absolutely horrendous, but you believe it's going to get better. I believe it's going to get better for you. And that's all we can hope for at the end of the day. Thank you for your story, and I hope there are more positive updates coming in the future. Our next post is by user Crow, and it's titled, My 30 boyfriend 31 killed a man 10 years ago. How do I get my mum to accept him? I met David about 6 months ago. I met him through friends, and we clicked and became good friends pretty fast. One night, when we were drinking, we began talking about the past. He told me that he had been admitted to a psych hospital a couple of years ago, and then told me that he had killed a friend in a psychotic break and had been all over the news media. His story was all over the place when it happened, so I recognized him when he told me. I just hadn't made the connection. His sentence was to undergo psychiatric treatment, and he's on medication now and really regrets doing it. He tells me that it was like a dream, and he remembers it as such. He was also on a lot of drugs at the time. He's completely different now, and I trust him. He's the sweetest guy that I've ever met, and to be honest, I can't connect him to that person who was all over the media. Well, we started dating a month ago, and I brought him home to meet my mother yesterday, and she recognized him. She didn't say anything to his face, but she called me today. She was completely freaking out and telling me that I can't date a murderer. I told her what I've told you. He was psychotic, he's not the same person who did that, and he's heavily medicated with no intentions of stopping. But she was just completely freaking out, telling me that she feared for my safety and she wouldn't have anything to do with him and that I had to leave him immediately. I told her that wasn't going to happen, and she said that as long as I'm dating him, she doesn't want to see me and he's ultimately going to kill me. I understand completely that she is fearful and anxious about the situation, but I still think she's overreacting. It wasn't a deliberate murder, and it honestly annoys me to no end that she thinks that I'm not able to judge his character. So yeah, how do I get my mum to accept this situation? Am I just doomed to not see her again? I could really use some input. In the comments, Sandman says, I don't think that's overreacting at all. Overreacting would be if she started screaming the second she saw him, but she kept her composure and was polite until he left, and then made her concerns heard to you privately. That is not overreacting. Quote, it wasn't deliberate murder, and it honestly annoys me to no end that she thinks that I'm not able to judge his character. Honestly, that is not a comforting thought. That means that you are finding solace in the fact that he wasn't in control when he committed that murder. What if he loses control again? What if he goes off of his meds and/or has another psychotic break? People can and do have mental health relapses and breaks even when taking meds as prescribed. Second, you've known him for 6 months. Take a look around this subreddit and all of the 3, 5, 10, 15 plus year marriages and relationships where someone is betrayed or cheated on by a long-term partner. Those people get blindsided by people they live with and have known for decades. You really think you're qualified to judge exactly who this guy is after half a year? To be clear, I'm not suggesting your boyfriend is bad or violent or will even get violent again. I am, however, pointing out your mother's concerns and trying to help you see how her concerns are valid. Ultimately, you make your own choices and decisions on who to date and marry. It's wonderful that your boyfriend got the help he needed and turned his life around with the second chance he got. The person he killed, however, does not get a second chance, and many people find that crime to be unforgivable, no matter how far he's come or whether or not he may have come to terms with what he did. Basically, just because you're okay with what he did now, doesn't mean everyone will be, and you certainly should not expect people to have your view on it. Socolicious says, a lot of chronically ill people can't find partners. That's because living with chronic illness is tough, and taking it on when you don't have to, in other words, as the partner of that person, is tougher still. And make no mistake, your partner is severely mentally ill. If you haven't seen it yet, that's because he hasn't seen fit to show it to you. Quote, he was psychotic, he's not the same person who did that, and he's heavily medicated with no intentions of stopping. You are underestimating the depth of your partner's illness. Psychosis this severe is no picnic by itself. Having been convicted of a murder excludes a person from many, many areas of society. Both of these things together add up to the fact that this man is severely handicapped and may never be able to be the partner that you and your mother both think that you deserve. You have obviously made up your mind to be with this man, but don't close your ears to the opinions of people who care about you. Keep an open mind. Once again, I don't know what to say. I feel like these comments are the response that OP needs to hear. I think OP's mom is perfectly valid in her fears, in her boundaries that she is setting with OP, because she doesn't believe that he is someone that is safe to be around. I tend to agree with her. He has killed before. He has severe mental illness. He may well do it again. You really just don't know how someone is going to operate, for the rest of their life. To me, it seems like a ticking time bomb. It really feels like that it is going to happen again someday. It will happen, and are you going to be his partner that is in the firing line if and when he has another episode? If and when he kills again? If my child was in the same situation as you are right now, I would do the same thing as your mom. I would not be supportive of it. I can't. Do I want to see my child die? Am I going to allow that to weigh on me? This is a hill that I would die on. Like, I would honestly die on this hill if I was OP's parent, and I applaud them for doing so. This deeply disturbs me. If OP wants to continue seeing this person, that's something they're going to have to deal with. That people are going to cut them off and not be supportive of this relationship. And people that have killed and have severe mental illness like him have to live with the consequences of their actions, whether or not they were themselves when the murder occurred. I'm absolutely a proponent for rehabilitation, but this is not something that you can deal with so easily, I guess. There's no easy answers in situations like this. And now, on to the update. Hi. Thanks for the responses in the last thread. A lot of people told me things I didn't want to hear, like I couldn't judge a person after knowing him for 6 months, which I still kinda think you can, just not as much as I hoped. I guess some people expect something crazy to have happened, but nothing really has. He just wasn't as empathetic as I thought. I realized quickly that if I didn't call him first, he wouldn't call me for days. And when I told him I had a very unpleasant encounter with a guy, he just laughed and told me that if it were him, he would be happy to get the attention. What? Ew, what the fuck? And I just couldn't get over that he killed a guy, honestly. When I was laying in bed and he was doing something else, I couldn't stop thinking about how vulnerable I was. I didn't feel safe. So I broke up with him. I still think he deserves happiness and to move on from what he did, but I'm not the one for him and I can't help him. My mum was very relieved when I told her that we broke up. I didn't tell her why, just that it didn't work out. And although she didn't cut me out of her life like she threatened, she's been a lot warmer towards me since. About the breakup, he actually took it so well that I didn't think that he was ever really in love with me. It was basically me breaking up and him saying, "You gotta do what's best for you, so I wish you luck." Oh my god. I'm kinda heartbroken that I apparently didn't mean that much to him, but I'm still fine. We still talk though, which is probably stupid, but he's a fun guy to talk to, and I don't feel like I can judge him for doing something while on a psychotic breakdown. Also, as I stated in the last thread, he has no intentions of stopping with his medication. He knows he needs it for the rest of his life, and as long as he follows that, he'll probably continue to be in my life. In the comments, Earl Grey Hair says, quote, "He would be happy to get the attention. Jesus." and as long as he follows that, he'll probably continue to be in my life. Just having him in your life is still a risk. It was a friend that he killed after all, and you can't guarantee that he will stay on that medication, even if he insists he will. No Context 68 says, quote, I don't feel like I can judge him for doing something while on a psychotic breakdown. That doing something happens to be murdering somebody. So you broke up with him, he didn't seem to care, and you want to stay friends. I'm guessing you're keeping this part from your mother. Just because you have removed the label from your relationship doesn't mean that you are out of danger, if any danger was present to begin with. So basically, all you have done is broken up to hide the fact that you are still seeing him from your mother. Jesus, OP. I think you need some help here. Naivety, lack of common sense, and self-esteem seem to be big issues here. Girl, him being indifferent when you broke up was the best case scenario. I really feel like it's more apathy from being on antipsychotic medications. Thank you. Dude is drugged to numbness. Be glad he can laugh. And honestly, those drugs likely need to change, but he won't be able to have them changed without approval from the courts. That's the worst part of it all, is that because of the terms of his release, the courts are involved in his medical information. And I get it. I've had psychotic breaks myself, and I remember what happened. I had audio and visual hallucinations, and it hit me in my fears. Loved ones telling me that I deserved what happened, telling me to off myself, etc. The way he described it as like a dream, I absolutely get, because the memories of those breaks do feel like dreams. There is no attachment, but they kind of float around. I never killed anyone, but the description of how the memory of the event feels to him sounds accurate to the diagnosis and the situation, which makes me very worried that his medications are wrong for him and that he might have poor reactions because of that. That's all we have for this story. There's a lot more commentary that I could provide, obviously, but I wanted to kind of keep it sweet and succinct. I'm freaked out for her. It really doesn't feel like this story is over. It does sound like she's keeping this from her mum because she wants to have her cake and eat it too, and we know that that is a terrible idea. Do not remain friends with this man, please, for your own good. There are so many red flags in this situation. You came to the internet for a vibe check, and you didn't like the vibes that came your way. Perfectly understandable, but what you reap from the seeds you are sowing may not be as delightful as you think they are, OP. They may cause your downfall. I don't think we're going to get another update from this one, and that upsets me a little bit, I won't lie. I don't like seeing that she kind of had a half measure in this situation and not a real breakup. To me, it seems like you very much leave the door open for her to be murdered in the future, and that's really unsettling. But that's just how some people deal with situations like this. And again, I hope this doesn't happen to me, and I hope this doesn't happen to anyone close to me. But if it does, I'll have some advice from these commenters about how I should tackle a situation like this. Damn, 3 really rough stories today, huh, guys? What is going on with the internet lately? Anyway, if you want something more lighthearted, probably go watch the Certified Arseholes podcast with me and Jack. Little plug there. Am I the asshole for demanding to go through my brother-in-law and his girlfriend's bags if they are staying with us? Background. I have a pretty severe dairy allergy. I break out in hives, struggle to breathe, and have to carry 2 EpiPens with me everywhere. If I get any dairy in my system, I'll end up in the ER. My in-laws know this and have been extremely accommodating since my fiancé and I started dating 5 years ago. When we moved in together 2 years ago, we set strict rules for our home because of my allergy. The big one is that no one's allowed to bring anything that contains dairy into our house, ever, no matter what. On to the current story. My brother-in-law started dating his girlfriend 1.5 years ago. They came to visit us together for the first time 1 year ago, and my fiancé made sure that my brother-in-law explained my allergy to his girlfriend and our no dairy rule. 2 days into their stay, she bought dairy products and cooked lunch for herself when we weren't home. I ended up in the ER because of cross-contamination. She apologized and explained she hadn't understood how serious my allergy was. We managed to put the situation behind us since both my fiancé and I currently have and want to keep a good relationship with my brother-in-law. The two of them came for a second visit 9 months ago. We had a video call with brother-in-law and his girlfriend before the trip to make sure she understood the severity of my allergy and how serious we are about the no dairy rule. During their second trip, I was taking out the trash and found candy bar wrappers and an empty milkshake container in the guest room trash, the room that she was staying in. Even after she saw how serious my allergy is and how I ended up in the ER, she still brought dairy into the house. I confronted her when they got back. She and brother-in-law had a huge fight. Brother-in-law went through her stuff and threw out everything she had with dairy. We kicked out his girlfriend. Brother-in-law stayed for the rest of the planned trip. Brother-in-law and his girlfriend worked out the relationship after the trip and are still together. Since their second trip, brother-in-law has come along since I don't trust his girlfriend in our house. Well, brother-in-law is planning a new trip to visit us and his girlfriend wants to come too. At first, we just said no because we don't trust her, but since we know this is important to brother-in-law, we came up with what we believe is a good compromise. She can come and stay at our place, but we will look through her bags every time she comes back to our place, and if she doesn't accept that, she can stay at a hotel or just stay home. Now, I'm being called an asshole for treating her like a criminal and that checking her bag is an invasion of privacy. So am I the asshole for demanding to go through her bag if she stays at my house? In the comments, Squirrel Ball says, "Dude, why are you letting her back in? Are you trying to die? Of course you're not the asshole, for Christ's sake. Seriously, do hotels not exist where OP is? I would never let that woman into my home again." I wouldn't either. I get why OP feels the way that she does, but if it's to the point where she feels she has to frisk the girlfriend every time she walks in the front door just to feel safe in her own home, then she needs to stop allowing the girlfriend over altogether. Wait, hold up. She's broken your trust twice, and she's calling you an asshole? She's the asshole. Exactly. She's the one who nearly killed OP twice, and now she's acting like she's the one being wronged. She should be grateful that OP's even giving her another chance. Exactly. I honestly wouldn't let her back into my house. You're very kind, OP. And yeah, I would use other words than kind, but I think overall, OP gets the simple statement. Hear, hear. You are far too kind. You are being far too generous to brother-in-law and his girlfriend. They've already accepted the fact that she can't come back, and she has stayed in the hotel and stayed away. It's been no different in the past. It should be no different in the future. She actually, unironically, literally has tried to kill you twice, OP. And if I think you were to die, given how much she knows about you and how she has been through this before, that's not a manslaughter charge. That is second-degree murder at that point. Are you genuinely willing to risk you dying just so that your brother-in-law can get his way in this instance and so that, they don't have to pay for a hotel? Are we really doing that right now, OP? This is literally life and death. Let that sink in. It's at the front door right now. Let this sink in, not the arsehole OP. And now, on to the update. So I didn't plan on writing an update, especially not so soon, but a lot has happened in just one day. But first, I want to clear up some misconceptions around their second visit to our home. I did not get sick from brother-in-law's girlfriend having candy bars and a milkshake cup in the trash or some candy bars in her bag. That wasn't the problem. The issue was that while knowing our no dairy house rule, had not only seen but also been responsible for me going into anaphylactic shock and had gotten an in-depth explanation of my allergy and why it is important to us to keep our home dairy-free. She still brought my known allergen into the house, my safe space. That is why we fought with her and kicked her out of our house. On to the update. After the first 500 or so comments telling me I am an idiot for even considering letting this woman, who is a danger to my health, back into my house, I realized I was listening way too much to the part of me who just wanted to keep the peace and was downplaying the seriousness of the past incidents in my mind. I kept thinking the first time that she might not have known how serious my allergy was and that it was an accident, and since I didn't get sick the second time that she brought dairy into my home, I was just exaggerating how bad it was. I heckin' love downplaying the seriousness of situations. I was gonna say gaslighting, but I don't know, that doesn't sound like gaslighting. I know it sounds insane, but after dealing with people who don't take my allergies seriously for years, I've gotten used to apologizing and even downplaying my allergies to others. I sat down with my fiancé and discussed the whole situation. He explained how he also doesn't want brother-in-law's girlfriend back in our home, but since I was willing to give her another chance, and it was my health affected by her previous actions, he felt that I should make the final decision. He ended up texting brother-in-law to tell him our original no-answer stands, that he is welcome to stay with us, but she is not allowed in our house. Especially since she hasn't even apologized for breaking our rule again after she sent me to the ER the first time they visited. And I'm his family, and my health and well-being are more important to him than brother-in-law visiting. I wasn't here for this part, but this is what my fiancé told me had happened. After he sent that message, brother-in-law called him and they talked. Turns out brother-in-law's girlfriend had told them that she'd reached out after their second trip, that we talked, and I forgave her, but wasn't ready to have her back in my house yet. She has asked to come with him every time he has visited us. Brother-in-law always told her no, that she would only be allowed to come when I told him that I was ready to have her back in my house. He only asked if she could come since it had been 9 months, and as far as he knew, I had forgiven her. According to my fiancé, brother-in-law was extremely apologetic. I hadn't had time to talk directly with him yet, but we've planned a video chat to get everything worked out tomorrow. The reason my brother-in-law didn't ask me directly about the situation and believed his girlfriend is because he was aware of how traumatic an allergic reaction is to me, and that I hate to talk about it after, since I cannot stand to relive the situation. If anyone is interested, I can post a second update after I talk to my brother-in-law tomorrow, and hopefully have a final conclusion to this whole thing. In the comments, Remarkable Pace says, I swear, why do people always lie about stuff like this? Do they really think that it's not going to come out? They're so stupid to think that way. Or they think they are so clever and will get away with it. I would love to hear what brother-in-law says. Why he stays with his girlfriend is beyond me. This last part so much. Why stay with someone who is on the record with lies, deceit, and disregard for the safety of others? No empathy whatsoever for someone who, if everything went well, you'd be seeing regularly and tied to for most of your adult life as family? Pokemon evolve better than this dingbat. Honestly, I was side-eyeing brother-in-law for still being with her, much less even asking if she could stay again. So this explains that. He thought she'd reached out and apologized. So now we can add her being a liar to the list of reasons why he'd be an arsehole for continuing to be in a relationship with her. So wait, did she actually talk to you and you forgave her? Or did she lie about it? OP says, she lied. I hadn't talked to her since throwing her out before she texted me, calling me an arsehole for the search if she was to stay in my house, which she absolutely won't be doing now. I read your post yesterday, and that's exactly what I thought happened. It's bizarre that she wants to stay so badly after dissing you like that, and even more bizarre to lie about all of it to stay with you again. By the way, I get it. I have an anaphylactic allergy to mushrooms. I would never let her in the house again either. I know that this is a very fresh situation, OP, but if in the future brother-in-law does not break up with her, I'm gonna be very disappointed in him. Gonna be absolutely disappointed in that man for allowing that woman to continue to exist in your life and in his life, to have her have any amount of access to you at all after all of the lies, deception, and intentional attempts on your life. I'm gonna go out and say it. She did not care. She actually saw you be sent to hospital, potentially die due to the anaphylactic response, and continued to do it. At that point, she is attempting to kill you. She is willfully trying to kill you. If your brother-in-law had any self-respect, he would immediately break up with her and just absolutely berate her and talk down to her for everything she has done to him and done to you. She is a psycho and she is an embarrassment. I would be embarrassed to have a partner like that. She deserves the worst, and you deserve the best, OP. I hope the updates we get from you in the future bring nothing but good things for you and nothing but terrible things for her. Please, God, make it happen. Thank you for the story, OP. Very much appreciated.